Good evening, everyone. It's dark, but it's times. Before we begin, some channel news or overall news about Between Other Things, the Lone Wolf Magna Chi series. So if you're subscribed to Onguard newsletter, Onguard Press newsletter, a couple of days ago they sent an update about some things. I guess the latest newsletter of the year, maybe. Some updates regarding the availability of some of Lone Wolf books. Regarding the Magna Chi series, they said that all the books should be available right now, but it's not really the case so far on Amazon Canada. They were most probably talking about the UK there, so I'm hopeful that maybe before the end of the year, Amazon will get some of the books that are missing, like books 11, 12, and the infamous books 11, not 11, but 7, actually, that is currently missing on Amazon. I hope it will be available in Canada soon. Otherwise, they said that some books that are currently out of print, like book 3 apparently is out of print, will be available, I think they said at the end of January, something like that, mid or end January. And book 11, 12 actually will be available not at the end of the year, but at the beginning of next year, first few weeks of January. So maybe we'll be lucky as well in Canada and get them beginning of next year, or actually in January. Let's cross fingers and hope so. Since we're still waiting for book 7 before starting the Magna Chi series, I'll be doing another series after this one, since tonight is the last one of the World of Lone Wolf. I'll be doing the other Joe Devers series that has 4 books in it. The Freeway Warrior series. First one being Highway Coast. So, never played them, never read any of them, not even a little part, so it would be all new for me, and for many of you, I guess, as well. So we'll see that in the coming weeks. It's really starting next week will be the first book of Freeway Warrior by Joe Dever. And in other news, thanks to everyone that is following the Baldur's Gate 3 Astarion Origin run on the side. Greatly appreciated. And if you join us live, it's actually my wife's game. But if you're joining live, you can chime in Twitch and give recommendations, or you actually can interact with the dialogue options with the little BG3 companion app. So you want to drop in the middle of game and give suggestions, I'm sure she'll be quite glad to receive some of them. Otherwise, some French news pour future campagne RPG Dragonlance et peut-être autre chose sur le side. Des chances possiblement d'avoir un stream d'ici la fin de l'année en lien avec ça. Ça sera à voir. C'est possible que le prochain stream de RPG pour D&D soit un peu à la dernière minute. Mais par la suite, ils vont être annoncés probablement 1 à 2 semaines d'avance sur le channel, comme à l'habitude que c'était préalablement. Donc, que ceux qui suivaient nos aventures dans Spelljammer, préalablement dans Rime of Frost Maiden, vont être intéressés de nous rejoindre à nouveau, cette fois-ci dans Dragonlance pour 2024. Puis à venir, comme je parlais, le deuxième groupe. Si vous êtes intéressé, comme je l'ai déjà mentionné par le passé, vous pouvez me faire signe, puis je peux vous mettre sur une liste pour voir de la place avec le deuxième groupe potentiel qui sera dans peut-être D&D, peut-être autre chose. On verra un peu plus tard, début 2024, une fois que la campagne de Dragonlance va être démarrée. Donc, c'est ça pour les nouvelles. So, back in English now. I don't know if you're all ready, but I am. So let's start the last book of the World of Lone Wolf series. And with the story so far, as usual. You are a Grey Star, trained in the ancient lore of a Shianti Wizard. For 16 years, you have dwelt in safety on the Isle of Lorne, the hidden realm of the magical Shianti race, until Akaria, High Wizard of the Shianti, sent you upon a dangerous quest to save your people, the race of man, from the evil rule of Shasarak, the tyrannical witch king of the Shadakin Empire. Held by their ancient vow to the goddess Ishir, the Shianti are unable to leave their island and come to the aid of men themselves. But no such promise prohibited you from leaving the island, and you were sent to recover the Moonstone and use its power to defeat the Witch King. The Moonstone, an artifact that possesses the combined force of all Shianti wisdom and power, was hidden on the Dacian plain, and you first had to find the invisible gateway to the Dacian, the Shadow Gate. To help you find the Shadow Gate, you sought the lost tribe of Lara, a race of magical but primitive creatures called the Kundi, who possess the gift of astral vision, enabling them to see magic portals and gateways to other planes and dimensions. When Shasarak's Shadakin army first invaded the free provinces of the south, they came through the forests of the mountains of Lara, where the Kundi lived, and were constantly ambushed and delayed by the Kundi. The Kundi always eluded them, disappearing into the dense forest before the Shadakin could retaliate, and, finally, in wrath, the Witch King burned down the forest and forced the Kundi to flee south. No one knew where they came to rest. Voyaging across the Sea of Dreams, you came first to the city of Sun, the largest port in the Shadakin Empire. There you were befriended by a cheerful merchant named Shanli, a widely traveled man. Your questions about the lost tribe aroused suspicion in Sun, and you were captured and taken to the House of Correction, the prison of Sun, and subjected to the truth-say of Mother Magri, Shadakin witch and lawgiver. With the aid of the power of the Chasm Stone, she attempted to read your mind, but you were able to preserve the secret of your quest. With the help of Tanith, a young and beautiful girl learning the ways of witchcraft in the service of Mother Magri, you were able to escape from the House of Correction. With Chen as your guide, you eventually turned south and headed towards the region known as the Hazenem, for it seemed likely that the lost tribe had settled there. However, again using the power of the Chasm Stone, Mother Magri summoned a Klesia against you, a demon shadow that feeds upon the soul. Neither your magical powers nor the might of your wizard staff were able to defeat the Klesia, and it had almost destroyed you when Tanith cast a spell and called the demon against herself. She was totally consumed by the Klesia, and both disappeared in flames. Her brave sacrifice saved your life. At the Azenam, you found the Kundi, and they gave you their shaman, Uric the Wise, to guide you to the Shadow Gate. You traveled across the hostile lands of the Shadakin Empire, and close to the gates of the city of Karnali, you freed a man named Samu, a former king of the extinct tribe of the Masbate, from a Shadakin slave train. Then the leader of the rebel Freedom Guild, Sado of the Long Knife, enlisted your aid in freeing the city of Karnali from the rule of its Shadakin witch and her warriors. But you did not stay, for still you had to find the Shadow Gate. You journeyed on, accompanied by Samu, Uric, and a thief by the name of Fugi. On this later stage of your journey, you discovered that Shasarak was once a Shianti master. So now you know your eventual confrontation will be one versed in the same magical arts as yourself. You finally found the Shadow Gate beneath the wasteland of Desolation Valley, only to discover that the magic portal was guarded by a demon Klesia, holding in its grasp Tanith, who had not after all been slain in her attempt to save you. Instead, the Klesia had offered her to its master, Shasarak, as a prisoner. Using Tanith as a shield, the Klesia withstood your attempts to gain entry to the Dacian portal, but at least you managed to force the Klesia away from the Shadow Gate and step through to be reunited with Tanith. Together you entered the Dacian Plain, which held many mysteries and perils, the worst of which was the Jaksha, a creature created in your likeness by Shasarak. You traveled through this strange, abstract world, until at last you came to the Trianon, a chamber floating in the void. Within the Trianon was the Moonstone. And after a last paradoxical confrontation with the Jaksha, in which the lawful and magical effects of the Moonstone were used, the Jaksha was defeated, and the Moonstone made yours. With the Moonstone now resting in your hand, you begin the final part of your quest to defeat the Witch King. Armed with the might of the Moonstone, you now possess the only known power that can destroy Shasarak, the renegade Shianti Wizard. So about the homebrew rules, as usual, if we die, we're going to go back to the previous choice, take another choice. If we die again, we go back, take another choice, etc., etc. If we die in battle, we're going to take the flee option or a different option if there's one available. If there's not none, we're going to go back to a previous choice, take another one. If we're still stuck, we're going to go through the battle as if we had won. So that we're not playing this game tomorrow morning because of the multiple death. And I don't know for book 4, but the previous at least 2 other books were kind of hard actually compared to Lone Wolf. It was a little cutthroat compared to many Lone Wolf adventures. So we'll see how it goes with this one. And we're going also to use the D10 for the different roles like the random number table and the battle number table. Otherwise, the other rules seem to stay the same in book 4 about combat skill, willpower, and endurance. However, if we take a look at the chart, we have very different stats for book 4. It's crazy as we went from negative numbers almost to numbers through the roof actually. But it's not an error. We keep the same combat skill. Actually, they kind of ask us to re-roll the combat skill at the beginning of the game rules in the book. But it doesn't make any sense compared to other Lone Wolf type of books. So we're actually supposed, and it's the same that Project Aeon says in their errata at the bottom of the page of the game rules, we're supposed to keep our combat skill from previous adventures. So we had the lowest one possible, 10 in combat skill. Regarding a willpower, that one has been re-rolled, and we add. Did we re-roll that? I'm not too sure actually. I think we had a lot of leftover from book 3, which was insanely short. I have a backup here. Not here. Here. Yeah, we had 25 willpower left over from the previous book. And in this one, we had 50 on top of what we had. So that means 75. The 50 willpower points come from touching the Moonstone at the end of the last game, which regenerates all our magical powers immediately. So that's why we have 75 there. And the endurance points, actually, it's kind of the same thing. It says here that we add 30 endurance points to any kind of endurance we had before, which was 27. So that's actually 30 plus 27. So that's why we have 75 willpower and 57 endurance points. I'm not sure if the endurance points will be our maximum. The third, 30, add any endurance points from playing the initial score of 30 and write the total. I guess it's CD errata from Project Aeon at the bottom. The original intent, should add 30 to their final endurance score from the end of their last. And practice point to their original total when carrying. Yep, so our new total score of endurance points is 57. So, well, it was quite hard in the previous 2 books, but in this one I hope that the fights will be harder actually. Since we have so much endurance points and so much willpower. Imagine if we use all our willpower in one attack, and we have a multiplicator of maybe 3 or 4 or something like that. That's like a 300 damage on the spot, and name it. We can go up to, I think, something like 10 times the damage with the best number on the combat table. Right, take a quick look. Combat results table. If we're plus 11 or greater combat ratio, we can do 18 times the willpower invested the attack. So that's totally crazy. Other than the stats, our magical powers for the lesser magics are the same, no change. But now, since we've touched the Moonstone at the end of the last book, we gained higher magics. There was 6 of them. Yep, and we had to choose 5 between the 6. So the one chosen were thaumaturgy, theurgy, physiurgy, turgy, and visionary. But if anyone wants to change something, you can make suggestions in chat right now. Otherwise, let's read the different options, the new options that we have. Thaumaturgy, it is higher magics, an advanced form of sorcery. The craft of magical energy, where sorcery allows the wizard to affect external things. Thaumaturgy affects the wizard himself. The power of thaumaturgy can bestow upon a wizard the power of levitation, a limited form of flying, invulnerability and increased strength, the ability to bend metal or warp wood by disturbing their molecules, and perhaps the most useful of all, teleportation, that is the ability to travel great distances in seconds by simply visualizing the destination. So it sounded like quite a useful one. Theurgy, it's an advanced form of enchantment. Theurgy is the power of mind control, telepathy, and auto-suggestion. It enhances the tangibility of the illusions of enchantment and allows you to control the minds of others. However, like enchantment, some magical beings will be able to resist this power. Mind control is always a powerful skill to have, in my view, so why we have Theurgy. Physiurgy, where elementalism allows a wizard to summon the aid of the elemental spirits. The higher magic of Physiurgy grants the wizard mastery over the elements. It allows him to command winds, open cracks in the earth, cause earthquakes, raise storms, and create other weather effects. Which means it's just better elementalism. And elementalism has been one of our better lesser magic in previous books, in my opinion. Next one, Theurgy. Theurgy is an advanced form of alchemy. Possession of the Moonstone of the Shianti makes the casting of a larger number of spells possible. It unlocks the knowledge of more ingredients for mixing potions and reveals some of the special times or ways that they must be mixed. The power of the Moonstone acts as a charm for these potions. No willpower points are required to make use of the power of Theurgy, but you are dependent on discovering the necessary ingredients for your potions during the course of your adventure. But it never mentions anywhere that we have a larger air pouch or that we can carry something else regarding our ingredients or stuff like that. And last one is Visionary, actually the last one that has been chosen. With the aid of the Moonstone, you may use the skill of a Visionary to look upon events that are taking place elsewhere. The power of a Visionary is generally concerned with visual images of the present. It's kind of like the lesser magic prophecy, kind of, but in the present instead of the past. Pretty much the only difference. And the last one that I haven't taken is Necromancy, a higher form of evocation, where evocation allows contact with the spirit world. Necromancy allows a wizard to command the dead, though it is forbidden by Shianti law, and that's why I haven't taken it there. I envision a fight against Shasarak at the end of the book, or somewhere close to the end. And I think since it's an old Shianti master that has rebelled against the Shianti ways, the guy must have necromancy, and I think it would be kind of fitting to be his antithesis, which means no necromancy and abiding by all the Shianti laws. That's the only reasoning behind that, because actually necromancy looks kind of more interesting and powerful than visionary. But actually, in previous books, prophecy proved itself maybe useful because, like, in every 3 or 4 sections, there was always an option for prophecy that we didn't have, and it seemed mostly in book 3rd like the most important lesser magic available to us that we didn't have. So that's kind of the reason why I took the different reasons I took visionary over necromancy in this case. So 2 sides of the coins, but kind of the same coins. Otherwise, necromancy also allows the Shianti Wizard to make an incantation that will imbue the Moonstone with a protective aura of light to keep away all creatures of evil, dead or alive. So it has a kind of light side to the necromancy. I guess maybe they didn't want people to simply do like I did and discard necromancy because it's an evil thing and blah blah blah, Shianti law. So I guess they wanted to balance it with some other way to keep the evil creatures at bay. Most probably like the Ecclesia. They might have something against that. And the other thing that we saw in book 2 that I don't remember, that I needed Azawood Leaves to keep at bay. But we still have one Azawood Leaf. Maybe we won't need necromancy in this case. Otherwise, they talk as well about the Moonstone. The Moonstone is a special kind of artifact, somewhat like the Wizard Staff. The Moonstone has many attributes, some of which are described in the higher magics section that we just read, and some of which you will discover during the course of your adventure. The Shianti have also given it the power to teleport you to Shasarak once during the course of your adventure. You will be told of that opportunity when the time is right, but I'm not sure that we shall know that already. Well, but we do because written in the rules, so that's what it is. Regarding the equipment, we keep all the equipment that we had in previous adventures. So no new anything there. And change another rules, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, nothing else. Before we begin, sage advice, as usual. Now begins the last and most dangerous stage of your quest to vanquish the Witch King, Shasarak. Beware, for you must face many dangers before you are able to confront him at last. You will find items that might be of assistance in your quest. Some special items will help you, others may be of no use at all. You must decide what to keep. Special care must be taken when selecting your magical powers. Make sure that your combination of higher and lesser magics covers every eventuality. Also, it is worth remembering that some of these magical powers will be of little use to you during this part of your quest. Choose the powers you think you are most likely to require at this stage. Be cautious in your use of willpower points, as your willpower is the energy source for both your magical powers and your wizard staff. If you have a low willpower score when you confront Shasarak, you may be easily defeated. Follow the path of wisdom, Wizard Grey Star. The way of fools is the road to destruction. Section 1. Final book in World of Lone Wolf. War of the Wizards. At last you hold the fabled Moonstone in your hand. It pulses and glows with a strange milky light. 10 its sides shine widely, and your heart pounds with excitement. The Moonstone, ancient vessel of all Shianti wisdom. What What powers does this magical artifact hold in its glowing heart? The stone exudes a comforting warmth as it nestles in the palm of your hand, and you feel a presence in your mind. You hear a familiar voice, and your heart lifts to ever greater heights, for it is Akaria, High Wizard of the Shianti, speaking to you. Hail, Wizard, son of man, you have succeeded. We, the Shianti, rejoice and praise you. That which you hold in your hand contains the power that will enable you to defeat the evil Witch King, Shasarak. A crowd of excited voices fills your mind as each of the Shianti sends words of congratulations and admiration. The last of these voices is Maitea, your old friend, the Shianti master who taught you all you know. And so, little one, he says affectionately, now you possess the Moonstone, Shasarak's bane. While you hold it, we, the Shianti, are able to speak with you, but this communication cannot be maintained much longer. Because you have the Moonstone, we have sufficient power to return you to the world. But there is much you shall know before we do so. Listen well, Grey Star, for I know not when we will speak again. Though it seems to you but a short time since you arrived at the Dazarn, 7 years have passed here in the material world. During your search for the Shadow Gate, you visited the city of Karnali. Your arrival there inspired a revolution, led by Sado of the Long Knife and his army of the Freedom Guild. After your departure, the Freedom Guild withstood a great siege by Shadakin warriors, who eventually withdrew defeated, much to Shasarak's displeasure. Word spread of this victory, and the strength of the army of the Freedom Guild grew. Strategically, Karnali was too isolated to make a great impact against the Shadakin Empire. But, due to the surrounding Gurlu marshes, it remained self-sufficient. Soon many were traveling to Karnali to escape the tyranny of Shasarak rule. Pockets of resistance broke out in the townships of Wenat, Stanis, Sina, and the city of Forlu, and the Freedom Guild soon dominated the hills and the plains of the south. They raided Shadakin's supply trains and succeeded in depriving the empire of much of its wealth, cutting off all land routes to the port of Sun, the wealthiest and most important trade center of the empire. An army is now formed in Karnali, and in 3 days it will march against the Shadakin Empire, hoping to take port soon in the first of many conquests. But, unknown to Sado and the army of the Freedom Guild, a vast Shadakin force has been mustered in the Sadi Desert. Soon it will march against them. The army of the Freedom Guild number 10,000, the Shadakins 30,000. The Freedom Guild cannot hope to succeed against such overwhelming odds. You must save them. Take them to the forest of Fernmost. It is most important that you go there. There is little time and much to do, Grey Star. The voice grows faint, and you realize that the Shianti will be unable to maintain contact for much longer. And now, Grey Star, the contact breaks, and we must return you to the world to begin the last of your great labors. Are there any last words of advice we can offer you? Your mind races as you think of all that you might need to know. 3 options. If you wish to know where the Shianti intend sending you and where in the Shadakin Empire your quest will begin. Or, if you wish to hear the Shianti's own advice, or if you wish to see Shasarak himself and perhaps discover something of his plans. Alright, between the 3 options that we have here, I'm not really sure that knowing where we will be sent is going to be quite useful. I can assume that they're going to send us to somewhere that makes sense. So I think we should simply trust the Shianti Masters on this part. Then we can ask about Shianti's advice or the plans of Shasarak. I'm not sure they can simply just look with some kind of divination magic at Shasarak and simply tell, oh, Shasarak is currently doing his dinner. Ah, he's going to eat hamburgers tonight. It will be way too simple and easy to defeat him if they had that kind of power to simply look at his plans and da-da-da. So I think the best one will be to hear simple Shianti's advice that might be useful at some point, like some kind of prophecy, or I don't know. Maybe we'll be able to make a note in our action chart says that we had Shianti advice, and somewhere in the book later it will recall that advice. So let's go with that. Before reading the next section though, here's the map. We left the Shadakan Empire in book 2 from the Forbidden City into the Shadow Gate. So let's see where we'll end up afterward. But they talk about Carnally here, and they want us to go to the Forest of Fernmost. And they currently are supposed to control all the hills and plains in the south. And Zanis, Sina, the other one, Winat, all those villages. Actually, they seem to be controlling all that here. Which is kind of off the map, actually. But the biggest cities are in the north. And where our person is here. Well, they don't control Forlu yet. So not really all the south, but almost. Alright, let's continue. We will advise you as best we can, he replies. Although it is your own wisdom that has brought you this far, you should not be afraid to trust your own judgment. In the matter of the inevitable challenge of Shasarak, we advise you not to stand against him immediately. He embarks now on a war that will be costly to his strength and demanding of his powers. Wait for him to weaken himself with some great deed of sorcery, before journeying into his dark halls for the final duel. First ensure the safety of the army of the Freedom Guild. Without your help, they will perish. Be on the constant lookout for allies, for the Witch King has many enemies. And look to the Forest of Fernmost. A mighty power dwells there, and it will do well in your service. His voice grows faint. So we should take our time here. That's the advice. Alas, well, it's the third time that his voice grows faint, but he's still talking. Alas, Grey Star, there is not time for more. The bridge we have created weakens now. Step warily, for the land is beset with dangers. Though there are friends there also, friends you will not expect to see. With these words, his voice fades completely. You pray that the Shianti have conserved enough energy to transport you back to the real world. A swirl of color passes before your eyes. Instinctively, you reach for Tanith's hand and clasp it tightly. The walls of the circular chamber shimmer in and out of focus. The Shianti are transporting you from the Dacian plane to the real world. A brilliant flash of light fills the room and you close your eyes involuntarily. When you next open them, you look upon a vast plain of grass that undulates like the sea beneath a clear, sunlit sky. The journey is complete. The Moonstone is still in your hand. However, where once it shone with the purity of white light, it now glows a smoky grey. You can but guess at the meaning of this transformation. If you have the magical power of prophecy and wish to use it, we still don't have the damn prophecy skill. And where visionaries come to play here? Nowhere? Alright. So we don't have prophecy. Again. Mountains lie all around you on the horizon. You guess that it is summer, for the sun beats strongly and the sky is cloudless. Despite the heat, Tanith shivers. There is an evil presence here, she mutters. According to Tanith, you have arrived in the center of the Listen Plain. That's so much on left field here. And I forgot to change the ambience. Little map. There we go. Rain like the all the others, because even if it's winter here in Canada, it rains. Well, the past week, rained a lot. Listen Mountains. Or Listen Plain, actually, here. So, far left field. The fortress city of Shasarak lies many hundreds of miles to the east. Yeah, like the opposite side of the map. Thank you, Shianti Wizards. You helped us quite a lot. Actually, they wanted us to take our time, so they should have sent us to the Summerland, actually. Anyway, a broad line of distant mountains separates you from that city of evil. Well, there are two of them. Suddenly you realize that you have no food or water. We still have 2 meals. Or, well, 1 actually. Let me correct that. We have 1 meal. Not nothing. The simplest of requirements stands between you and the fulfillment of a quest upon which thousands of lives depend. If you do not find water soon, you will die. Even with 57 endurance points and 75 willpower. So we can go east in the direction of the city is Shasarak, or south. They ask us to take our time, so go south. And let's move our token over there. The Great Listen Plain, so we're somewhere over here. You set a brisk pace for more than an hour, but then the burning sun slows you down. And it too looks very weary. Your throat is parched. Neither you nor Tanith has seen a water hole or anything that could yield nourishment or moisture, and there has been no sign of any living creature. You are further disturbed by the sight of a lone figure heading towards you from the south. It is too distant for you to be able to distinguish any details, but it is moving at great speed. You peer into the shimmering heat and try to guess what it is that approaches. 3 options: we can stand our ground and wait for the figure to arrive, advance against it, or simply evade it. It's quite suspicious that something advanced towards us like this at really great speed. Should wait here, I guess, with Tanith. Tense with anticipation, you wait for the lone figure to arrive. It is humanoid in shape, and you notice that it moves with a strange shambling gait. Suddenly it comes to an abrupt halt, and vanishes. A thrill of fear runs down your spine. There is an unfamiliar magic at work. Tanith gives you a questioning look, but says nothing. With a shrug you continue on your way. The mystery unresolved. As the evening draws in, the temperature begins to cool. You are tired and thirsty. You have been heading in the direction of Lake Dolani, But neither you nor Teneth has ever been to the Listen Plain before, and you are not sure of the lake's exact location. That one here, Lake Dolani. You know only that it lies on the southern side of the plain. You are now unsure that you can reach it by nightfall. Looking to the west, you see a large building of square, tiered stone. It is approximately 2 miles away. You can investigate the building or continue. Should investigate, we're lacking food, even if it's not true. As you approach the building, its huge size becomes apparent. It is a magnificent structure, a towering ziggurat. As you stand before it, you realize that it is very old. The stone is weathered and overgrown with weeds, and the cornerstones have been worn to ragged curves by the wind. It looks deserted, an ideal place to shelter for the night, if only you could find some water. Then it walks up and examines the section of the wall. It is inscribed with symbols. This was once a building belonging to the Masbate tribe, she says. They built it long ago. You listen with interest. The Masbate were the original inhabitants of the Listen Plain. The present-day king of the Masbate, Samu, a noble and fearless warrior, accompanied you when you sought the Moonstone. But he was the king without a kingdom, for Shasarak slew all the Masbate, unleashing the peril of a demon plague to roam the Listen Plain. It is said that those demons roam the plain still. Find the existence of the building curious, for the Masbate were a nomadic tribe, crossing the plain according to the seasons and the needs of their cattle. Why should they build anything so permanent? We can explore the ziggurat of the Masbate or continue our search for Lake Dolani. We need food, so let's explore. You walk around the building but cannot find a water hole or stream. You walk around the building but cannot find a water hole or stream. The west wall of the ziggurat bears a 10-foot high arch. The doors are made of stone. How are we to open these? Asked Teneth. You guess that there must be some internal mechanism for opening the doors. They're certainly too heavy to be opened by hand. If you have the magical power of prophecy and wish to use it to find an opening mechanism for the doors, or can use the magical power of psychomancy, find an opening mechanism as well, or the higher magic of thaumaturgy to teleport ourselves to the other side of the doors. And we have actually at least one of these powers, so 3 options. Find the mechanism for the door. Magical power of prophecy, magical power of psychomancy, or higher magic of thaumaturgy. Prophecy is overused. The higher magic will most probably cost more willpower to use than a lesser magic, I guess. I'm not sure how psychomancy should help here. Deduce facts, okay, yeah, right. Psychomancy should help then. So sorry about not answering earlier as a 022 JP. I first. And yes, this is Greystar the Wizard from World of Lone Wolf. And like I said in the chat, the software I'm using actually is Foundry VTT, which is actually a RPG tabletop VTT. And I've used a kind of a blank world to make the different pages, like the chart and everything, the map. So it's not a specific software, but I suggest that some people that were going to play Greystar the Wizard to use what is available at Project Aeon. You have, I think, a great software for the action charts and stuff like that. Instead of doing the harder route like I did with Foundry VDD, it's because I do a lot of RPG campaigns, so it's easier for me to use the same software for every of my stream. There you go. So we use the power of psychomancy. Walking up to the huge doors, you lay your hands upon them and probe them with your mind. You have a vision of two brawny men pulling a thick rope attached to a metal weight in a chamber on the right of the archway. This must be how the door was opened. The use of this magical power has cost you 1 willpower point. So if we have the magical power of sorcery, we can use it to trigger a mechanism, or we can use thaumaturgy to really need magical power to pull. Oh yeah, the two brawny men pulling a thick rope. Yeah, we're so damn weak, and Tanith is even weaker. So yeah, okay, right. Understand why the power of sorcery or thaumaturgy is really thaumaturgy necessary though. I think sorcery quite enough useful. Sorcery is usually more powerful than the other powers, so now that you know where the mechanism is, you are able to reach out to it with the power of your mind. At the cost of 2 willpower points, you are able to trigger a mechanism of the Great Stone Doors. With a low rumble, the stone door opens slowly, the rusted metal of the pulley screeching amid the rasp of grating stone. The door is only halfway open when it grinds to a halt. The age-old mechanism has failed. However, the gap is sufficiently wide to admit a human form, and soon you and Tanith are standing within the ziggurat, peering anxiously into the shadows. You are looking into a long, broad hall, dappled with pools of faint orange light. The source of the light is a series of square, slanting shafts high in the hall, vaulted ceiling. At the far end of the hall are 2 staircases, each leading to the first of many galleries that run along each wall. Archways line the balustraded galleries, each one leading into a luminous pool of darkness. Your footsteps echo loudly as you walk across the tiled floor covered with the dust of centuries. The air is musty and tainted with the faint aroma of attar. Each stone is draped with cobwebs. You move towards a dais in the center of the hall. Mounting the steps, you see that it contains a wide circular opening. A thick iron bar is suspended across the opening, and mounted on each end is a large handle. Attached to the handles and passing through a hole in the middle of the bar is a length of thick rope. "This must be a well!" exclaims Tanith excitedly. 2 options: we can turn one of the handles and draw from the well, or simply examine the well. Be quite a more wise course of action to examine the well before pulling from it, I guess. Close examination of the well reveals that the rope is rotten and likely to snap if you use the handles to draw up the receptacle attached to it. You decide therefore to haul up the rope by hand. You do this drawing up a large clay bowl full of clear water. Oh yeah, right, we are looking for water all this time actually. I get the excitement now. You both drink long and deep. The large bowl is almost empty before your thirst is sated. When you have finished, you walk to the far end of the hall. 2 flights of stairs lead up to a large platform. At the rear of the platform, a vast and elaborate frieze has been carved from the wall. In the center, a woman stands with arms outstretched in a gesture of welcome. She is written in light, and standing all around her, a rows of men and women of proud bearing. This building must be the work of the Masbate. The woman is a representation of the great goddess Ishir, high priestess of the moon, mother of all men, and the building is some form of temple or shrine. Another flight of steps leads from the platform to one of the many galleries that line the temple's walls. Cautiously, you both mount these steps, passing through a doorway that opens onto one of the galleries. The fading light from above does not illuminate the high archways that lead up the gallery, and at the cost of 1 willpower point, or willpower is dwindling away, you cause the light to glow from the top of your staff. You peer through an archway to see a large chamber, its high ceiling lost in shadow, its corners shrouded in cobwebs. In the middle of the chamber stands a long palette of grime-encrusted marble. With a start, you realize that a human form rests upon the pallet, but your panic soon subsides, for it is a dead man, a giant with a huge broadsword clutched to his chest with withered hands. A necklace of blue stone hangs around his neck. A circlet of silver crowns his head. The brown, shrunken flesh has been partly preserved by some process of mummification, but the garments the corpse wears have all but mouldered away. Inspection of the remaining chambers on this floor confirms that it is an ancient Masbate tomb. Each chamber is a crypt, in which of the Masbate have laid their dead to rest with their weapons of war and personal effects. The tomb of the Masbate was probably served by guardians before Shasarak summoned the plague of demons that eventually destroyed the Masbate tribe. Tanit arms herself with a long dagger from one of the chambers. She also takes a sling and a number of stones. You may keep any of the following items that you find in the various chambers. So we have already full pack here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. We can take a coil of rope, but we already have a length of strong rope. I don't think it matters, but we have rope. A sword and sheath, which is useless to us. We have already a broadsword and a sheath. That is a special item. A spear, useless as well. Dagger and sheath, useless as well. Water bottle might be useful though. Oh, we have the second meal here. Oh. I'm not sure that the Calycina mushrooms will be useful. Future, we got that in book 1. Torch in their box, 2 things quite useful. However, we can make light with our staff. We're stressing water a lot since the beginning of the book. I think we should throw something away for that. Yeah, the Calycina mushrooms. I don't see them being used. I'm sure the author has forgotten them. So, water bottle. 400 torches. Each torch counts as 1 backpack item. We already have 1. A tinderbox, we already have 1. So, I think we can go with that. Only 1 torch is enough. Remember to mark any items that you keep on your action chart. The light from the shafts has faded completely. Night has fallen. You are both very tired. And after further exploration, you discover an empty chamber and both settle down to sleep. The night passes without incident, but you are awakened at dawn by the sounds of scratching and scrabbling from below. The sinister murmuring of distant voices echoes ominously throughout the vast hall, and the hair on the back of your neck prickles with fear at the sound of a low, bestial moan, alien and chilling. Tanith wakes with a nervous start. Sensibly she says nothing, but her dagger is in her hands in a moment. Her eyes flashing dangerously, her body taut. Slowly you edge out of the chamber and peer through the supporting columns of the balcony. In the golden glow of the dawn light that creeps through the shafts of the roof, you are confronted by a nightmarish vision. The floor of the ziggurat is a heaving carpet of horror. A swarm of hideous creatures lurks there, gibbering insanely. Each wears a different and equally misshapen guise. Toad beasts, their green eyes glistening, crawled beside stunted anthropoids with matted fur and scaly flesh. Creeping reptiles with human heads vie with many-limbed crustaceans. Lurching serpents slither upon the backs of hulking beetles. Never before have you seen such a ghastly horde of evil deformity. The demon plague, hisses Tanith, horrified. Such was the evil that defeated the brave Masbate. Who could stand against such fearful monstrosity? The shuffling column reaches the foot of the stairs, with every passing moment more air entering the ziggurat through the gateway that you yourself opened but could not close. Now it is you that must attempt to stand against the demon plague. 5 floors below, a terrifying doom approaches. The demons advance, slowly, cautiously, unsure of their new environment. Certainly they are unaware of your presence in the highest gallery of the ancient Masbate tomb. You have little time in which to plan an escape. 3 options. If you are versed in higher magic of necromancy, we don't. If you wish to attack the demonic horde with your staff at long range, or if you prefer to try to hide, it's futile, I think, to attack a horde of creature with our staff. We have 71 willpower, but still, sounds kind of crazy. Let's try to hide. Quickly, you look around in the crypt where you and Tanith spend the night. There is an alcove within the far wall. It is large enough to hold both of you, and its shadows are dark enough to keep you from sight. You can hide in the alcove, or search for a hiding place elsewhere. That's a good place to hide, actually. I'm not too sure about that, but don't know if we'll find a better one. You and Tanith squeeze into the alcove and keep very still. The scratch and scuffle of clawed feet tells you that the demon horde is ascending the stairs in the hall below. Soon you hear the sound of movement nearby. Peering out of the shadows, you see a hunched, 3-legged creature enter the chamber. A single yellow eye looks out from the center of her broad, furrowed forehead, crested with many long feelers like antennae. The demon emits a moan of displeasure on finding the chamber empty and turns to leave. You give a quiet sigh of relief, and suddenly the demon halts and begins to sniff the air. It cocks to one side with a quizzical gesture. Then it sees you and, with a feral scream, stumbles forward. Its clawed hands outstretched, you cannot evade this combat and step forward into the light. A demon combat skill 16. That's a -6 combat ratio. And endurance 19. Try not to die here, I guess. Forgot to open the combat table again. Table here. Okay, so -6. We should roll 7 or better, I think, for it to be a good roll. Finally put in the little battle team. First fight of the night. 6. Go bad. I forgot the willpower investment, so I won't look at the combat table. You need to kill 19. I think that 4 will be a safe investment in this case, since it's about halfway on the table. With a 6, that's 5 by 420 against 4. We have 4 damage and the enemy is killed. Short combat. A final blow fells the creature as it falls lifeless to the ground. 3 reptilian beasts appear in the doorway. Many more creatures crowd behind them in the corridor outside. The only possible escape from the Masbate tomb is through the entrance to the hall 5 floors below. Somehow you must fight your way down. You wish to attack the demon standing in the doorway with a long-range shot from your wizard staff, or if you wish to charge the demons, I really don't feel fighting in melee. This guy. So I guess we're going to go pew pew. Raising your staff, you unleash a beam of fire. Wait, it's more than pew pew. It tears into one of the creatures. It screams horribly as it falls dead in the doorway. The remaining creatures give vent to pealing cries of fear and begin to edge backwards, their twisted features writhing. This attack has cost you 2 willpower points. And we lost 4 before in the fight. Well. With an impetuous cry, you rush forward, whirling your staff above your head. The demons stumble backwards in alarm, carrying into toes behind and causing an uproar of animal cries. With a deadly flash of steel, Tanith fells one of the beasts with her dagger. Hey, good job. And at the cost of 1 willpower point, you deliver a powerful blow that sends another crashing to the ground. You reach the doorway of the crypt. The demons are running in the opposite direction, heading for the stairs that led back down to the hall. Horrified, you notice that some are dragging the corpses of Masbate dead from the crypts. Well, if they like their snack, old and dusty, sure. Taking Tanith by the hand, you pursue the demons, who offer no resistance. All their efforts are concentrated on keeping outside the range of your staff, which you use to prod any demons that remain too close, herding them like a flock of sheep. Soon you reach the top of the stairs that lead directly to the hall. You step onto the first stair and nod to yourself in satisfaction as they part in haze before you. Scattering in all directions, a grisly corridor of malformed creatures forms before you, leading to the entrance of the tomb. Then their timid moans and cries change alarmingly to an undulating rhythm of crowing pleasure and steering gloats, and you see a winch form silhouetted by the sunlight that streams through the tomb's entrance. I am ready for a malformed dragon. The dark, fearsome shape stands before you, towering at least 10 feet high. It has the head of a large bull, and wisps of smoke curl from its flaming nostrils. Its eyes burn with a terrible intensity that fills your heart with dread as it lifts its horned head and roars. It stretches its broad bat wings, throwing a cloak of shadow over you. The demons that fill the hall are but minions of this fierce master. Before you are able to summon magical forces to combat this awesome foe, the demon master lunges forward on its cloven feet. Its grasping clawed hands reach out, hungry to squeeze the life from your body. You may not evade this combat. Demon Master combat skill 30, which is minus 20 combat ratio. He has 40 endurance. We need to defeat the Demon Master in 3 rounds or less. With such a deficit combat ratio, we need to roll 9 or more for it to be a good roll. I think we should invest. We need to invest a lot of willpower. But I think that 8 to insta-kill the demon. Actually, we need to kill him and kill it in 3 rounds. If we roll 2 or 3, I mean 6 or 7, which inflict 2 or 3 damages to the enemy, for it to kill it with a 9 or 6 or 9 to get to 40, you need at least 7 each time, or total, yeah, total. So she'll go 3-2-2, I think, with the willpower investment. But we're going to risk damage by doing this. Is it worthwhile to drop this to a 2 rounds fight? Which means we will inflict only 4 or 6 damage. It's not really something that we can realistically do without wasting a lot of willpower. Should go 4-2-1, I think, with the willpower, and go from that. Big battle. Not sure if it will last long though. I should have written that on this other slot. Venus 6 again. That quickly. We have an history of our previous fights. Okay, so a 6, it's 2 damage against 6. 6 to us and 2 to the enemy, but by 4, it's 8 damage. So he has 32 HP left. Can go 4-2-1 now. We should up the ante to 5 or even 6. Yeah, it won't be enough. We rolled way too low for it to work. We need to use about 7 willpower on this one. 7, better roll. So 7 willpower. It's 5 damage to us against 3, so 21 to the enemy. He has 11 endurance points left. But we have only 53 willpower left. We need to kill it in 1 round. With 11 endurance points left. Which means that we shall invest 6 just to be sure. And hope we won't overkill it so it's not wasted willpower. And that we don't roll badly because it's also wasted willpower. We do that. Yeah, 6. Because 7 is kind of useless. Is it? 7 is a victory with a 6. 6, 5, 4. 6 is a victory with a 6, 2. So 6 if we roll 6, 4 if we roll 7, 3 if we roll 8. I think we can gamble 4 here, and let's see. We need to roll 7 or better. Not sure if we have a reroll though. No, we don't. Okay. Oh, 4. That's bad. And it's 0 damage, so whatever willpower we had invested in that will have been less. So we get 19 damage. Still 21. The creature isn't dead. So 4 wasn't too crazy investment here. Kind of use our willpower for nothing. And we lost a lot of endurance points. If the combat lasts for 4 rounds and you're still alive, do not continue the combat but turn immediately to 276. Despite your brave resistance, the Demon Master seems to be drawing on hidden reserves of power. Suddenly, its leathery wings flap and it lifts into the air with deceptive speed. The surprise movement catches you off your guard, and the oof that lashes out at your head throws you to the stone floor. Blood streams from a wound in your forehead. You lose a further 3 endurance points, on top of what we lost already. Kind of cruel. Your senses will from the force of the blow. If you are still alive, we are. Stunned and dizzy, you lie on the floor, unable to defend yourself. The Demon Master hovers above, its leathery wings beating. It stoops to deliver a killing blow. Bravely, Tanef steps forward, dagger in hand, ready to defend you to the last. The demon minions swarm forward in glee, and the position looks hopeless. Then, amid the whirl of your thoughts, you hear the cries of men and the clash of steel. Joyfully, you see a gleam of shining metal flash above your head, and the Demon Master's back arch with pain. Howling in agony, it begins to fall. With lightning reactions, Tanef drags you to one side. Seconds before the lifeless and bloody corpse of the beast hits the ground with a jarring crash. A long, slim javelin protrudes from its back. "Restore!" Tanef cries. "We're saved!" She helps you into an upright position, and you peer down the hall. Pouring through the entrance of the tomb comes a mass of tall warriors, swords bared and reaping a deadly harvest among the demonic ranks. Your vision clears, and as you regain your senses, you see that the warriors are men of Masbate, the tribe believed to be extinct after persecution by the Witch King Shasarak. With a flurry of sword blows, the Masbate hew a bloody path towards you. Though their number less than 50, their demonic foes seem powerless to resist, so swift and fierce is the attack. The demon horde scatters in all directions. Some dematerialize, magic is inherent in their nature. Those that remain are slain mercilessly. When at last the battle is done, no living demon remains in the tomb, while incredibly the Masbate have suffered no losses, only a scattering of light wounds. One of their number now stands before you. Like his comrades, the Masbate warrior stands well over 70 feet tall, his body rippling with muscle beneath skin as black as ebony. His hair is long and black, and his eyes still burn with the fire of battle. He is clad only in a corselet of worn padded leather. A scabbard slung low from a broad belt carries a massive broadsword of dull grey metal. His only protective wear, a pair of metal wristbands, is engraved with the intricately worked design of a rearing horse. He gives you a speculative stare. It is not an altogether friendly gaze. "What do we have here?" he booms in a strong yet melodious bass tone. "A boy and a girl, perhaps? Or demons in human guise? Defilers of the sacred tomb of our forefathers? Speak now and swiftly. My blade is thirsty yet to drink the blood of moral spawn." Before you are able to speak, Tanith has risen to her feet, brandishing her dagger and scowling with the characteristic ferocity that you have come to know so well. "You know not what you say," she snaps, menace in her voice. "But for that, this blade of mine will have your life for such insult to one who comes to save your brawny, worthless hide. Soften your tone, tall one. For you speak to a mighty wizard, a master of great powers, the chosen one of the great ancient Shianti. He has come to challenge the Witch King himself, who is surely the enemy of us all." Despite her slight frame and her puny blade, Tanith confronts the warrior with an icy countenance that would freeze blood. Though he towers over her like a giant, the warrior steps back, mouth agape in astonishment. At her fearless outburst, he is stunned into silence. The barely suppressed mirth of the other Masbate is plain to see. "Who there, Yoka?" shouts a squat Masbate, with a bellowing laugh that makes his pot-belly quiver and shake. "It's a spitting she-cat that's stolen your tongue, I see." "And the cat has claws, bladder-belly." Oh, it was actually Tanith. "And the cat has claws, bladder-belly," she snaps. The plump warrior's face drops, while the one named Dioka bursts into laughter. "Well met, my lady," he guffes. With a bemused expression, you rise on shaky feet and turn to Dioka. "Greetings, men of the Masbate," you call out in a loud voice, ensuring that all can hear. "Plainly, we are not agents of evil in mortal guise." "Indeed not," Dioka replies with a smile. "The very demons of the plain will flee the wrath of your brave companion's acid tongue." Yet, in her anger, she spoke the truth. You continue. "For I am the wizard, Grey Star, bound upon a quest in the service of the Shianti and sworn to the destruction of the Witch King Shasarak." The vast hall grows silent. Wide-eyed, the Masbate regard you with stunned expressions. "Can this be?" Yoka gasps, a gleam of hope shining in his dark, deep eyes. "We will talk of this at length and in the proper place," he continues. "You must come with us. It is not wise to remain here. The demons may return in greater numbers. Most likely they will be led by more formidable masters than this." He gestures dismissively towards the corpse of the demon master that sprawls on the floor a few feet away. "The home of the Masbate now lies in the Kashima Mountains, beyond the river Hiss. The king must hear of your return." Masbate restores the bodies of the ancient dead to their resting places. A funeral pyre for the slain demons is built outside the walls of the tomb, and with considerable effort and over many hours, they are able to repair the stone door. While they work, your wounds are attended to, and you and Tanith are given food and water. There is a gifted healer among them, and he is able to restore to you 1 endurance points. Such a gifted healer. Potion is more gifted than him. And I think that we can wait actually. Really need the potion. It is late afternoon before the Masbate are ready to leave. Struggling to keep pace with the rapid march of the warriors, you head into the lengthening shadows toward the distant mountains, the secret lair of the last of a proud and mighty race. The night has grown old before you arrive at the torchlit entrance to a cave in the Kashima Mountains. Dioka leads you through a maze of winding passageways in the rock, and eventually you come to a wide cavern. At the far end of the cavern, mounted on a rough-hewn dais of stone, is a large throne. And I hope that you know which man is seated on the throne. It's kind of obvious. That upon the throne is the Masbate king. Deep in thought, is then cupping his broad jaw. Suddenly, your heart lifts. You recognize this man! Duh. My lord, Dioka begins. The king lifts his great head. May I present? But the sentence is never finished, for the king is none other than Samu himself. Grey Star, he cries, rising to his feet. You live! Before he can speak a word, King Samu leaps from the stone dais and bounds towards you, sweeping you up in a bone-crunching embrace. 7 years, Grey Star, he booms. 7 years since last we stood together. We thought that you perished long ago, deep in the caverns of Desolation Valley. What became of your search for the Shadow Gate of the Daziarn? Did you succeed after all? Did you find the Moonstone of the Shianti? What happened since you stepped upon the wasted lands beyond the Lysan Mountains? He hugs you once again, squeezing the air from your lungs. When you have regained sufficient breath to speak, you explain what has happened to you since you were separated, and of how the passage of time runs differently on the Dacian plain. I have but recently returned, say. And behold, you draw out the Moonstone. I succeeded. Look upon Shasarak's bane, the Moonstone of the Shianti. A great noise fills the hall. Of the Masbate warriors clash their weapons and call out their battle cries. The Moonstone blazes with a vivid white light that illuminates the whole hall, and the faces of the fierce Masbate. Samu draws his own sword with a great cry. The final battle begins, he bellows. Revenge will be ours. Death to the Shadakin. Death to the Shadakin witches. And death to the Witch King Shasarak. Foe of the Masbate and the Shianti, enemy of our life itself. The great chamber echoes with the ferocious cries of the Masbate warriors. When the clamor has died down, you and Tanitfer led to chambers within the mountainside, there to eat and rest. The following morning you will meet King Samu to discuss ways in which the Masbate can aid you in your struggle against Shasarak. You drift off to sleep that night, with your spirits lifted. Tomorrow you must ensure the safety of the army of the Freedom Guild before the Shadigan force, due to move in 2 days, is able to march against it. You know now that you will not have to face that peril alone. The following morning you talk with Samu in his private chamber. You inquire after the fates of the old Kundi man, Yurik the Wise and Yugi the Thief, who also accompanied you on your quest for the Shadow Gate. You learned that Yurik returned south to rejoin his people in the forest of the Yazanem. Yugi, much to your surprise, returned to fight alongside Sado of the Long Knife with the army of the Freedom Guild. Samu journeyed north from Desolation Valley to revisit his old country, the Lysan Plain. By chance he stumbled upon the surviving members of his people, who lived within a small belt of land around Lake Dolani and Lake Is. It seems that the demons of the Lysan Plain are reluctant to cross water, and so the lands beyond the rivers of the plain remain unstained by their presence. Only one path leads out of the plain, to the country that surrounds it beyond the mountains and the Masbate, held this pass against the demons. Under Samu's newfound kingship, the last survivors of the Masbate were reunited and formed a new, though smaller, realm around the southern lakes of Lisan. They created for themselves a home within the mountains, using it as a place to hide from the malevolent eye of Shasarak. They have fought unceasingly with the demons of the Lisan Plain, which Shasarak left to roam at will after the last of the Masbate were thought to be slain. For the Masbate still hope to regain the whole of the plain. So we're not in battle anymore? Quieter song. Their numbers are much reduced compared to the great host that defeated us of old, though mighty hundreds still remain, especially the more powerful and cunning of their kind, explains Samu. And there is a power that eludes us yet, the power that allows them to remain in the world. There is a magical gate within the hills near Lake Tillus, the gate that allowed them into the world. It was Shasarak who opened this portal for them, and they are able to travel through it to their demon plane as they wish. Whenever they are attacked by a Masbate force likely to defeat them, they can transport themselves to this portal instantly. While such an escape route remains open to them, we can never hope to defeat them entirely. While Samu speaks, a plan begins to form in your mind. A plan that will rid the Masbate of the demon plague forever, and provide an answer to the problem of delaying the Shadakin army long enough for you to warn the Freedom Guild of the overwhelming force that marches against them. You remember how the Moonstone opened a corridor from the Dacian Plain to the real world? Surely it must be able to reverse the process and close the portal in the hills east of Lake Tillus. Lake Delany, Lake is Lake Tillus, quite at the north here. Not really in the direction that we're going. If it were not for the demon plague, Samu continues, and the threat it offers, we of the Masbate will have joined forces with the Freedom Guild long ago, but our wives and children must be protected. We could not leave them to the mercies of the demon plague. It is our belief that when the demons cross water, they lose their ability to transport themselves to their portal. But if we warriors were not here to withstand them, they will have no need to use that power. Worry no longer, King Samu, you say as the plan crystallizes in your mind. I will close the demon portal, and with the help of your brave warriors, I will lure the evil demon host to Shadakin themselves. Explain the plan. We'll journey to the hills of Tillus, and using the Moonstone, attempt to close the portal. Such an action is sure to attract every demon of Lisan against you. Then you will flee to the pass in the Keshima Mountains, with the demon horde in pursuit. You will time this action so that you are able to lead the demons into the rear of the Shadakin column, as it approaches the bridge that crosses the river Dozar at Lenzi. Quite a crazy plan. In 2 days, top. But how can you be sure that the Shadakin army will not have crossed the bridge at Lenzi before you reach them? Samu asked. The Masbate must hold the bridge against the Shadakin until I can lure the demons against them, you reply. Samu nods in understanding. And who will go with you to the portal? I will go alone. All of the Masbate will be needed to hold the bridge. My magical powers and the Moonstone will protect me. They must. Suddenly the door of the king's chamber is thrown open. Tanith stands there, white-faced and trembling. She has found me, Grey Star, she says in a quavering voice. She has searched, and she has found me. Tanith looks weak. She can barely stand. Her eyes have a terrible haunted look. Who? Who has found you? Do we really need to ask? You ask, fearing the answer. Mother Magri, my old mistress, the Shadakin witch of Soon. She has searched for me with the chasm stone, and she has found me. Long I resisted her as she tried to probe my mind. She beckons, Grey Star, she calls. I cannot resist her much longer. While Tanith remains, she is of great danger to you. For in seeking Tanith, Mother Magri will discover that you have returned to the world. As a servant of the Witch King, Shasarak, Mother Magri and her power over Tanith imperils your life and your entire quest. Tanith, it seems, has realized this already. It is the morning of the day you must attempt to close the demon portal of Tilus. You bid Tanith a sad farewell. Eyes brimming with tears, you share a fond embrace before she is led east along the mountain trail by a Mesbate warrior. Towards whatever doom awaits her at the ends of Mother Magri in the city of Soon. She can be saved only by a swift and total victory over the Witch King. You turn to King Samu. We must prepare to move, you say. Gather your men. Must make plans. 3 options of higher magic powers. Thaumaturgy, Thaumaturgy, Necromancy. We're not using them. We don't have Necromancy, so Thaumaturgy and Thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy, Sorcery, and Thaumaturgy, Alchemy. I guess we could make better plans with Thaumaturgy. There are war plans like that. By using the magical power of Thaumaturgy, you will be able to weave a spell of invulnerability about yourself. The cost of this spell will be 4 willpower points if you wish the effect to last several hours. So we can create the spell of magical protection to help the bid to close the demon portal. Or we can use Necromancy, which we don't have. And suddenly we don't have the option for Thaumaturgy. I guess we'll go with the first option. Thaumaturgy for willpower. When the spell is cast and the protection complete, you turn and face Samu. I am ready, you say. Summon your men. Must make ready to leave. I have a gift for you, Grey Star, he replies. You will need to be able to move fast to escape the demon horde, says Samu. Long ago, we of the Mesbate bred a strain of horse called the Simar, renowned for its stamina and the ease with which it can be controlled. It will not shy away from danger. A great white stallion is brought before you, harnessed and saddled. Gratefully, you thank Samu for his gift. The Mesbate are summoned and stand fitted and echo tread for battle before their king in a rocky escarpment shaped like a vast amphitheater. They number 1,000 men, a small number perhaps, but a mighty army nevertheless, for the Mesbate are formidable warriors. In a rousing speech, Samu tells them of the battle to come at the bridge of Lenzi, where you will rid their homeland of the demon plague forever. You receive a great cheer before Samu leads his people out of the mountains towards Lenzi. A guide leads you to the other side of the mountains. The Shadigan army is expected to reach the bridge at Lenzi within a day. In that time, you must close the demon portal in the hills south of Tilos and lead the demons through the forested pass and against the Shadigan army. Again, I'm not sure how logistically this can be done. It's half a day to get there. It's half a day to get here-ish. Mathematically impossible unless the walk to Lenzi is super quick. I know we have incredible ores. But let's see how fast he can go. At last you come to the edge of the Listen Plain, and your guide prepares to leave. Before he goes, he offers you the following items to help you in your adventure. You may keep any or all of them, which are most probably all the items that we have already that are totally useless. A backpack, we have already a coil of rope, we have already a water bottle, we have already a tinderbox, we have already a sword, useless. Mass battle horn. Special item, might be useful. Mass battle horn. The guide returns to the mountains. You are alone. You urge the Simar horse into a trot and head north. If you are already using the magic of necromancy, we don't. Yours maintains a steady, tireless pace, and the miles pass by swiftly. Soon you reach the river Dolani. River Dolani, I guess that's the one that connects Lake Dolani to the mountains. The river is very shallow at this point, and you are able to ford it easily. Heading northwest, you sight a line of demons coming towards you. If you possess the potion of invulnerability and wish to drink it, we don't. You have used the metallurgy instead. You spur your horse into a gallop and hurtle towards the demons. Already you can make out the details of their hideous forms. Half man, half beast, with evil eyes and glistening fangs. Soon a gap of only 100 paces stands between you. There are 10 of them, and they thirst for your blood. You wish to charge the demons, and the horse will be killed, but if you wish to avoid the demons, or attack them at long range, I think you avoid them. You have a super duper horse. Suddenly you wheel, giving the line of demons a wide berth. They also change direction, but the speed of your Simar steed is great, and you are able to avoid them easily. Soon they have become nothing more than blurs on the horizon. For a while the journey continues without further interruption. The steady, rolling gait of your Simar mount eating up the miles. Suddenly you hear the flap of leathery wings beating above your head. You look up to see a large, winged reptile bearing rows of razor-edged teeth flying towards you. It gives a terrible scream that echoes all around the open plain. Better, with the two options, we can either shoot at long range with the wizard staff, or go faster with the horse and charge the beast. Let's go wizard staff. The winged reptile is still some way off, and the rolling gait of the stallion makes aiming a little difficult. Good point. You raise your staff and release the bolt of power at the beast. Pick a number from the infamous random number table. If you possess the silver charm of Jinan, add a wise, add 1. If you have the magic talisman of the Shianti, add 1. We have both. So we need 5 or less on a +2 roll. It's 6. We're okay. Total 6 or more. the cost of 2 willpower points. You throw a well-aimed beam of force at the winged demon. Your uncanny accuracy inflicts a fatal wound in the creature's head and it plummets from the sky. The pace of your Simar steed does not falter as you continue across the plain towards the demon portal in the Hills of Tillus. A good investment of willpower points. Sun is high in the sky. It is past noon. At last a range of hills comes into view. The Hills of Tillus. You have suffered no further attacks, nor have you sighted any other demons in the last 2 hours. Where can they be? Samu said they numbered in the high hundreds. Why have they not sought to prevent you from reaching the Hills of Tillus, home of the portal that is the sole gateway to their world? If you are versed in the higher magic of visionary, or magical power of prophecy, want to know right now what's going on, so it's a case of visionary, even if it costs more. Gaze into the Moonstone and, using 2 willpower points, you fill the orb with visions of nearby events. The swirling haze of colors clears to reveal a deep valley. At the bottom of that valley you can see a multitude of demonic creatures. They stand before a shimmering arc of fire that hovers in the air. This is the demon portal. They lie, waiting for you to approach. Gives me a kind of Lord Vashna vibes in book 16, I think, of Lone Wolf. But that book, ReV the Wizard, was written way before the Vashna book. Using this magical power, you are able to sense the exact location of the demon portal. It lies in the valley at the center of this range of hills. You journey for less than half an hour, and below the crest of the next hill, you dismount and lead a white horse with all the stealth you can master. You move along the perimeter of the hill's ridge until you come to the far end. Then you peer over the lip of the hill and down its gentle slope. You look upon a shallow valley covered with a crawling, writhing mass of utter horror. Every conceivable malformation of human and animal life waits there, grotesque combinations of many different beasts. A wave of revulsion washes through you. A shimmering arc of fire hovers in the air about 300 yards down the slope. It is the demon portal that only you can close. If you have a potion of invulnerability, we don't. But we're supposed to be invulnerable already anyway, but it seems like the book forgot that. The portal is near enough for you to be able to attempt to close it. Unfortunately, when you cast the shining power of the Moonstone onto the burning gate, you will reveal yourself to the evil host that lurks in the valley below. 2 options. We can remount the Simar steed before making the attempt, or make the attempt from our hiding place at the edge of the valley behind the ridge. Will the horse die? That endeavor. I think we should be ready to charge somewhere afterwards. So let's do that from Stallion. Sitting astride a beautiful white stallion, you trot to the edge of the valley overlooking the flaming archway of the portal and draw out the Moonstone. You focus all the power of your will into the stone and the closing of the portal. A chorus of inhuman moans ripples across the valley. You hold the Moonstone above your head as slowly it fills with power and light. The demons draw nearer and your horse paws the ground and stamps nervously. Suddenly the flaming archway ignites. Its fire swirls and writhes with great intensity, spitting gouts of liquid orange flame in all directions. You have used 1 willpower point in your attempt to close the portal, but now it seems imbued with a new force, a power strong enough to resist even the ancient might of the Moonstone of the Shianti. Damn. Your Simar steed rears up on its hind legs, and you are almost thrown. The horde stops as if paralyzed, cowering and gibbering pitifully. Your heart misses a beat as a huge pair of monstrous eyes appear within the flames of the portal. You peer into the wildfire at the slanted human eyes. They're closed, their penumbral grey lids a vague tinted outline. Slowly, lazily, as if awakening from a deep sleep, they open, revealing two great pools of impenetrable darkness, vast eddying whirls of eternal shadow. The eyes beckon with a hypnotic stare, a cloaked welcome to hell's darkest and most desolate chamber. Who dares? Demands a slithering, deathly voice. Who dares to knock upon the door to the pit of eternal pain? You stagger back as a blast of colossal psychic power, a will of great violence and malice, makes your head reel and your thoughts stumble. A burning beam of thought is thrust painfully into your mind, searching, probing, searing. Ooh. This is the disembodied voice. The desolate eyes are tinged with red. Savage laughter rings in your ears. Can this be? The voice growls scornfully. Oh, but this is the sweetest, the richest of ironies. It is the Shianti slave, it is not. Upon the arena of fools, treading the path of the foolish, and that wordless bauble of theirs. You have found it? Yes, I see that you have. As the voice mocks, its power over you lessens. You know that you must resist now, before you are enslaved forever. If you have 2 willpower points and wish to use them to resist the mastery of the being in the portal, sure, let's not be mind control. That's a good strategy, I guess. Using 2 willpower points, you shake off the power that held you and push it from your mind. Cannot resist, Shianti slave. The voice spits. You know not who you defy. Know you that I am Agarash the Damned, Demon Lord of Darkness. Cannot stand against me. Come to me. Take my place here in the pit of eternal pain, and I shall be freed. You feel the force of Agarash's will once again. It is a strength mightier than any you have ever known. Fight with the Demon Lord, a servant of Nahar, king of the darkness, a force of ultimate evil. Legend tells that Agarash was once a ruler in the world of Magnamond. Till he was defeated by a magical race called the Elder Magi, and banished to another plane, doomed to remain there for all eternity. Agarash seeks to draw you towards the portal of fire, that is the doorway to his prison. 3 options, or maybe 2, if you wish to duel with the will of Agarash and have 5 or more willpower points. Or if you wish to try to close the portal of fire using the Moonstone and have 5 or more willpower points. And if you don't have 5 or more. So we need to either duel Agarash or close the portal. Our mission is actually to close the portal, so I'm not sure. We need to duel that guy. And also it's a Demon Lord. Seems kind of foolish. We're not here. We're not Lone Wolf here. We're Grey Star. And in my mind, Grey Star is way weaker and feeble than Lone Wolf, even if he's a Master Wizard or something. So should just concentrate ourselves on the closing of the portal. Your body trembling with the effort of concentration, you hurl power into the Moonstone and direct it towards the portal. The portal burns with white-hot intensity and the eyes of Agarash burn deep into your heart. For while you concentrate your power on the portal, you are undefended from Agarash's attempts to master you. The stallion rears and turns in absolute terror and your head screams insanely, but you never waver from your attempt upon a portal. The malice of a Agarash fills your body and tears at your soul, yet still you hold the glowing gem aloft, clinging to it with fierce resolve. There is a mighty explosion, and Agarash's frustrated scream echoes for miles around. The portal has been destroyed, and Agarash can no longer reach you. You have escaped damnation at his hands. You have exerted 4 willpower points. Okay, yeah, right. They wanted 5 willpower, but we used only 4. Okay. And must lose 3 endurance points. Fair enough. Even as the portal is destroyed, Agarash's last words thunder around the valley. Minions of Agarash, slaves of the Scarlet Fires, destroy, destroy, and avenge me. If you're still alive, we are. Even as Agarash's words are fading, a tumultuous roar fills the air. The demon host aroused into a frenzy. Instinctively, the Simar steed turns and thunders up the slope of the valley heading east. The howling pack spring forward in pursuit, possessed of a savage fury instilled in them by their master. We're already at Lake Delos, the valley kind of somewhere there. The terrified stallion flies like the wind out of the Telos hills and onto the even plain. The countryside rushes past in a blur of green. Now you must head for the pass in the mountains to the east, a patch of forest among the hills. That's over there, here, in the patch of forest. Almost 50 miles lie between you and the pass. Look over your shoulder to see that the enraged beasts are beginning to dwindle in the distance as the Simmer's broad, rolling gait eats up the miles. The horse's coat gleams with sweat, and there is foam around its mouth, but it no longer moves with the madness of a runaway. You can stop for a while or continue, as you are, until we reach the pass and kill the horse, I guess, in the process. Should take our time, that they said at the beginning. So let's stop for a while. You rein the exhausted stallion to a halt. Your whole body aches as a result of its relentless, galloping stride. You gaze westward, certain that the pack are in pursuit, but there is no sign of them. Time passes and you begin to feel uneasy. The plain is flat and featherless, and the afternoon sky is clear enough to be able to see far into the distance. Yet there is no sign of the demon plague. You can either backtrack a little or continue east. Backtracking sounds like a good idea, but I think they vanished before too. I think we should just... We need to check back. I think we should trust going east. But we need to take time. Yeah, let's backtrack a little. You lead the Simar steed slowly to allow him some rest. Stopping and shielding your eyes from the sun, you gaze into the distance. Suddenly something clutches at your feet and tries to drag you down. A small green-skinned demon like a hairless ape has crawled through the knee-high grass. You have walked into a trap. 4 ape demons leap out of the grass around you, their eyes blazing with unreasoning hatred, and you attempt to fend off the nearest of your foes, who even now clutches at your legs. You cannot evade this combat. The demon is only 3 feet tall, making it harder to hit. Deduct 1 from your combat skill for the duration of the fight. But we're already really bad at fighting. Ape demon combat skill 20. It's -10, -1, so minus 11 total combat ratio, but only endurance 15. A good roll and it could be dead almost on the spot. We lost so many endurance points and willpower points without regaining pretty much nothing at all. We need to win the combat in 3 rounds or less with a minus 11 combat ratio, so we need to roll a 9 or more for it to be a good roll, and for the willpower investment, 3 round or less for 15 endurance. Invest at 2, that's 369, and 3, that's 980, that's too much. At 3 here, that's 6, 12, 18. 3, 6, 9, 18. 2, it's 4, 6, not enough. It's not 2, 4, 6, it's 4, 8, 12. That's still not enough. I think we should invest 3 willpower points in that fight. Yeah, and do 3, 3, 3 or something like that. Kind of average all the way. 4 is too much. Go first round. Insta dead for the creature. You have 3 damage against 5 multiplied by 3, that's 15. It's dead. But we still lost 3 endurance points here because of the horrible combat ratio. And 3 willpower points. If you win the combat in 3 rounds or less, it happened. After a rapid flurry of strokes from your staff, you deliver a killing blow. The slain demon's fellow attackers are all around, anxious to strike, and in the corner of your eye, you glimpse the demon horde sprinting towards you. The attack of these small ape beasts is probably intended only to delay you. You bolt into the saddle, and the stallion springs away. Thunder across the plain at great speed, stopping only to check that the demons are still in pursuit. After an hour of this relentless pace, you estimate that you are halfway to the pass. Only 40 miles until you reach the cover of the forest. Halfway. Yeah, about here, I guess. Looking up, you see a small black speck high in the air. As it grows closer, you see that it is a large winged serpent with broad feathered wings. It has sharp talons and small clutching forelimbs. You can attack the flying snake or wait and see what the beast does. I guess that what the beast does is attacking us. Should simply attack it. You're just about to unleash the power of your staff when the flying snake abruptly changes direction, maneuvering into a dive. It hurtles towards you at lightning speed, inflicting a raking claw wound on your shoulder as it passes, before climbing into the air. Both the flying snake and the horse were traveling so fast that you were unable to retaliate. You have lost 1 endurance point. We're now under the number of endurance points that we had at the start of the first adventure, the first book. So it's like if we lost already 2 endurance points for our normal total, but actually we lost 32 endurance points since the beginning. It's crazy. Other dots appear high on the horizon, approaching at an alarming speed are a multitude of strange and sinister creatures. You count 20 at least. A familiar sound greets your ears, the babbling frenzy of the demon horde close behind you. There is no time to prepare magical spells, nor is there anywhere to hide, and the forest pass must be at least 20 miles away. You feel sure you can outrun the demon horde, but the flying creatures, you have only two choices. You wish to attempt a last desperate dash for the pass, keeping clear of the flying creatures as best as you can, or if you wish to make a stand against the flying creatures in the hope of dispatching them before the demon horde reaches you. I think in both scenarios we're going to fight whatever we do. I think we should just go for it. Dash the thing. At 20. With a silent prayer, you break into a swift gallop. Somehow the Cimar stallion senses the need for speed. The flying horror's head spread out into a diagonal line. The first of the line, a flying snake, begins its dive towards you. You swerve to one side at the latest possible moment, forcing the creature to bank and turn halfway into its dive. Claws and talons outstretched, the winged demon swoops towards you once more. You cannot evade combat. A flying snake, combat skill 19, so it's a -9 combat ratio. Endurance 18. Power is down to 31, endurance down to 25. Combat lasts for only one round as the creature flashes past. If the flying snake loses more endurance points than you, ignore any endurance points you lose. Kind of a gamble. We're not obligated to use any willpower here. But the combat ratio will be even worse. At -9, you need to roll 8 or more. But if we, even by using willpower, it seems fruitless. With 2 willpower, we can roll 7 or more. With 3 willpower, it's 6 or more only. So we're gambling willpower points against endurance points. I think we should go straight here. With only 1 actually. With 1 willpower point we need to roll 8 or more. Let's save the willpower and damn the endurance. We have a potion still anyway. Oh, 8. And it's good enough. So no endurance loss. And we lost 1 willpower though. For the next demon dives, you begin an erratic sequence of diagonal moves. The demons are thrown into confusion and you are able to reduce the distance to the pass. When at last the next dive comes, you are taken by surprise. Instead of attacking you, the winged demon gouges a line of bloody wheels along the stallion's haunches. The stallion screams in pain but does not falter. You chance a look behind and see that the horde is still far away. A third demon dives. This beast has an insectoid body combined with feathered bird's wings. You attempt a dummy turn, but the beast is not fooled. Insect Demon combat skill 18. so it's a -8 combat ratio. And endurance 17. Not sure that all those stats are full anyway, since not making combats. Combats again lasts for only 1 round. So a -8 combat ratio this time. We need to roll 7 or more with 1 willpower. 6 or more with 2... 5 or more actually with 2 or more willpower. So it's more worthwhile to invest more willpower here so we can do a lower roll. Oh, 1. That's really a bad roll here. Really a bad roll. We lost 2 willpower points for nothing. And are hit for 8 endurance points. Really horrible. Well, now both rounds, the previous one and this one, balance themselves out. 2 more attacks follow on the stallion rather than yourself. Its pure white coat is stained with blood and you can feel its pace begin to falter. You see a small winged ape circle above you and shoot downwards. At the last moment it slows its descent, grabbing hold of the horse's harness and tugging it violently. Struggle and twist in the saddle and try to aim a blow at the gibbering creature without falling from the horse. The stallion stumbles but does not fall. Time is the winged ape. 22 combat skill. So it's a -12 combat ratio. And 16 endurance points. Sounds like less effort here with -11. The combat lasts for 3 rounds. Okay, we need to beat the creature in 1 or 2 rounds. With a -11 combat ratio. That means for 16 endurance points. For willpower on a 8. 6 on a 7. Eight on a 6. I think we should gamble a 4 willpower point here for the first round. Oh. 4 willpower point down the drain. Totally useless. And we receive 8 damage. Now if we want to kill the beast in 1 round, we need to invest like 4 willpower point again. And if not more. I think it's useless here. Invest willpower point. 6. So we lose 6 endurance points. She'll take the potion. Back to 7. Combat lasts for 3 rounds. Do not continue the combat. Though mortally wounded, the winged ape holds on grimly. As far from being mortally wounded. Then suddenly it hurls itself away, still holding the stallion's harness. The horse's head is twisted violently to one side, and the noble animal loses its balance, tumbling to the ground. You lose 2 endurance points in the fall. If you're still alive, yes, he's trying to kill me at every turn, but not the case yet. Bruised and bleeding, you drag yourself to your feet. The stallion is dead. A knot of panic stirs in your belly. Many miles of flat grassland devoid of cover or protection lie between you and the pass. Without stopping to ponder your sad loss, you turn to run. I wonder if we'll have to fight here. At first you make good speed, but you are heavily laden, and your staff and backpack hamper movement. The snarling and screeching behind tell you that the demon host is beginning to gain on you. You chance a look over your shoulder and see that some of the faster moving demons are separating from the main group and are very close. 3 reptilian beasts with clashing fangs are soon snapping at your heels. You can turn and fight the 3 beasts, or continue to run. I don't see how we can kill them with 5 endurance points. But I don't see how we can outrun them as well. So, let's fight. You come to an abrupt halt, wheeling your staff around like a scythe. The crazed beasts are taken completely by surprise, and you press home your advantage, hacking and slashing at them ferociously. You must fight them as one enemy. 3 reptile demons. Combat skill 24. With a combat ratio minus 14. Endurance 25. We need to win the combat in 3 rounds or less. With 5 endurance points. Which means that if we roll 7 or less, we die. Really, the fight against the winged ape was totally horrible. We lost like 17 or 14. Less than that, we healed for 4. Just like 16 endurance points, I think, if not more. Well, we had 17, so we lost 12, 16. Yeah, we lost 16. To win that fight, roll at least 8 and invest 7 willpower. Otherwise, we're dead. So it's 7 or more, 8 or more with 7 willpower. Oh, victory! We are damaged anyway. 3 damage to us, 35 to the enemy. Cost a lot of willpower to survive here. Creature. So we won the fight in 1 round or less. Please don't damage us again after the fight, just out of spite. A moving cloud in the sky attracts your attention as you stand panting over the last of the fallen beast. There's a flock of winged demons, and they are heading straight towards you. At your back, the yammering horde draws ever closer. You sprint away again, traveling as fast as you can. As the winged forms circle overhead, you trace a zigzag pattern on the ground as you run. They swoop and dive and circle once again, but your mind is quicker. A huge winged ape plummets towards you. Its claws find your flesh and inflict a livid wound in your shoulder. You lose 3 endurance points and die here. Damn. Such a bad plan from the start. So we have not really any other option. Should continue with negative endurance points and see how it goes. If you're still alive as an undead, go to the next section. Looking up, you see the forest some 500 paces away. You put on a last desperate spurt in an attempt to reach the safety of the woods. Your body is racked with pain and exhaustion. Your lungs feel as they are on fire, and your heart pounds relentlessly. You stumble. You are not sure if you have enough strength to succeed. On top of that, pick a random number on the random number table. Add this number to your current endurance total. Oh, damn. It's impossible to succeed. Whatever we roll. So the total is less than 12. Your body is numb with exhaustion. You stumble once again and fall. With wild, gleeful cries, the pack reaches you before you are able to rise. Your last moments are spent regarding the multitude of crazed, hideous faces that crave only your death. Your life and your quest end here. On top of throwing at us enemies after enemies after enemies, dealing damage after the fight, even if we are lucky and win the fight without any damage, they put at the end an endurance barrier to overcome, and if you're not tall enough, you can go on this ride. So we'll have to cheat and take the road of the total is 12 or more. With a last painful effort, you hurtle through the brush and undergrowth at the edge of the forest. Using the cover of the forest, you soon leave the horde struggling behind you. Stumbling with fatigue, your robe tattered and torn, your body bleeding from a dozen small wounds, you trim through the densely packed vegetation. At last you find a hidden glade and you stop to rest for a moment. In the beginning, when I said that I wanted harder fights or stuff to do, it wasn't only endless pummeling without any resting space or anything. We have nothing left and we need to face Shasarak at the end of the book. I kind of hope that it will be a stupid hurdle like do you have X willpower or more. Looking up through a gap in the trees, you see a number of winged demons circling. They must be searching for you. Reluctantly, you move on again, following the trail until you reach the far side of the forest. You hear the snapping of dead branches and the rustling of leaves. The demon horde is somewhere in the forest, searching for you. Your mind races as the growling and howling of the pack draws closer. It is vital that you find some way of drawing the pack on. Towards the Shadigan army that is moving towards Lenzi and the Masbade who guard the bridge there. Estimate that the army must be halfway there by now, probably following the line of the River Dozar to protect its left flank. You are seen at the head of the demon horde. You are sure to be attacked by the Shadigan. Suddenly you sight a figure on horseback. It is the Shadigan warrior scouting the land. It must be an outrider from the Shadigan army. A plan begins to form in your mind. If you have a mind gem, we do, and the power of sorcery or thaumaturgy, we do. Or if you're versed in the higher magic of theurgy, or the magical power of enchantment. Mind gem plan sounds really like a good plan. You draw out the gem, filling it with mental energy drawn from the astral plane. If you have the magical power of sorcery, you use 2 willpower points. If you are versed in the higher magic of thaumaturgy, you use 1 willpower point. Oh, thank you, thaumaturgy. The mind gem gives off a red glow. You use its power to reach out to the Shadigan rider and will him to you. Unsuspecting, the warrior rides towards you. He wears a plumed helmet of black metal, and you know that underneath the helm his head is shaven, except for a long, plaited pigtail. Like all Shadakin, his most notable feature is his eyes, which are completely white, without iris or pupil. He is clad in the furs and steel of the Shadakin and carries a spear. A crossbow is slung over his back. You still have your Simar stallion. Nope, it has been killed. Spellbound, the rider heads towards you. As he draws alongside, you drag him from his saddle. A swift blow to the back of his head renders him unconscious. Quickly you don his uniform. By dressing in the Shadakin uniform, you will be able to lead the demon host towards the Shadakin army without being attacked, for they will think that you are one of their own. Somewhere in the forest, your pursuers are stamping through the dense foliage, smashing their way towards you. You leap into the saddle of the Shadakin mount and speed away, heading south towards Lenzi, where Samu and his Masbate warriors are waiting for you at the bridge. Okay, so we're on the other side of the forest here. Boom. You pray that the Shadakin army is already well on its way to Lenzi. Glancing over your shoulder, you see the first of the horde burst from the undergrowth of the forest. You concentrate on the last frantic dash that lies ahead of you. Your horse quickly covers the miles of your long, desperate ride. The demon host has not caught you. Although it is not far away, looking to the east you see great clouds of dust hanging in the air. There are the telltale signs of an army on the move. It must be the rear of the Shadakin column approaching the bridge at Lenzi. You double your speed. Now you can hear the cries of battle and the ringing of steel. You gallop around the edge of the town of Lenzi on its western side and emerge close to the river Dozar. Reining in the horse for a moment, you stop and look along the line of the river. A mile away you can see the bridge. The Masbate still hold it, but they fight a desperate battle against a huge force of Shadakin warriors. With a wild yell, you head toward the battle, the demon pack baying at your heels. You reach a Shadakin force that fights at the bridge, and rushing up to an officer, you indicate the demon horde behind you. He curses and orders some of his men to turn and face this new threat. He orders you to the rear of the army group. "Alert, forward Gatakan!" he shouts after you. "He must bring forward more men!" You nod your head, although, of course, you have no intention of obeying the order. Your sole objective is to cross the river and tell the Masbate that they may join the army of the Freedom Guild in the south. If you are versed in the higher magic of thaumaturgy and wish to use it to teleport across the river, oh, that's a good plan. Or you can swim across the river or fight your way across the bridge. Yeah, we can't fight our way, so let's teleport. Another 2 willpower points goes there. Close your eyes and concentrate your mind on the far bank of the river where you can see King Samu urging his brave soldiers on. At the cost of 2 willpower points, you teleport, experiencing the sickening feeling that always accompanies teleportation. You appear on the other side of the river and at Samu's side. He looks round and sees you. "By the gods!" he shouts, raising his sword to strike you. You remember that you're still wearing the Shadakin uniform. Yeah, but teleport. 2 options. We can pull the Shadakin helm and show Samu who you are, or raise your staff to defend yourself from Samu's blow. He's a good warrior. He will be able to stop his blow before cracking our skull, I guess. Hurriedly, you pull up the helmet and stand flinching beneath Samu's poised sword. But he's an expert warrior, and he checks its downward sweep in an instant. His eyes bulge in amazement. "Grey Star!" he gasps. "I almost killed you!" "No time, no time," you reply, quickly shaking Samu from his stupor. "Call your men. We must retreat. See?" You say, gesturing across the river. "I have brought the demon plague. We must flee while they and the Shadakin fight." It is as you say, across the river the demons wage a ferocious battle against the Shadakeen. Instantly, Samu springs into action, calling to his men and ordering a trumpeter to sound a retreat. The Masbate retire. The Shadakeen are too involved in their fight to pursue, at least for the moment. But you know that it is essential to destroy the bridge to prevent any pursuit should the Shadakeen, who must number in their thousands, quickly defeat the demon plague. If you have the magical power of elementalism, or verse in the higher magic of physiurgy, or verse in the higher magic of thaumaturgy. Will the higher magic cost less now than it did last time? But we already did that kind of trick with the bridge before and the elementalism in book 1, I think. So elementalism will cost 1, she'll do the job. Using 1 willpower point, you call on the elementals for their aid. After a few moments, a huge wave rushes along the river. You and the Masbate turn and run from the bridge. You look back to see the gigantic wave engulf the bridge, smashing its stones into pebbles and washing the bridge downstream. You are given a horse and ride alongside Samu, who, like the rest of the Masbate, does not ride. The Masbate are too big to ride and use their Simar horses only to carry their supplies. Nevertheless, the Masbate run like the wind, and soon the river Dozar is far behind. When night comes, you make camp. Tomorrow, your southerly journey will take you to the army of the Freedom Guild. Night passes without incident, and the following morning, you and the Masbate break camp and continue south. Across a flat land of farms and small villages, the inhabitants of which come out of their homes and look upon you with wonder. You warn the people of the vast Shadakeen army that follows, and that may have already crossed the river Dozar. Though you are glad to see that your presence has heartened so many, you realize with regret that word of your passing is sure to reach the city of Andui to the northeast, where there is sure to be a Shadakeen garrison. Perhaps it will be sent against you, ahead of the large army trapped north of the river Dozar, or perhaps the Shadakeen witch of that city, Mother Cholun, sister of Mother Magri of Soon, will come against you. Thoughts of Shadakeen witches remind you of Tanith's flight. Wonder how she fares and whether Mother Magri has successfully drawn Tanith back to the port soon, in the east. You are versed in the higher magic of visionary and wish to exert 2 willpower points to discover how Tanith is. We don't have that willpower, so sorry, Tanith. Actually, we have them, but we don't have them to spend them just to stop worrying. You continue the journey. At noon, you cross the river Anduiz near the town of Sina. Andui, River Andui, Sina, so covered a lot of ground. You stop to warn the townspeople of Sina of the advance of Shadakeen forces and enlist their help in destroying the bridge. This will ensure that the garrison at Andui and the larger army beyond the river Dozar will have to cross the river Anduiz at the bridge of the city of Andui. That's a lot of Andui. By late afternoon, you can see the large and mysterious forest of Fernmost looming in the west. Damn. Covered so much ground. You have made good time, indeed. The Masbate are tireless runners and have kept pace with your horse with little effort. You are passing a group of hills beyond the boundaries of the dark forest when you see a group of horsemen riding towards you. Each of them wears a red veil, part of the uniform of the army of the Freedom Guild. When the riders are within 100 paces, they stop and aim their bows at you. Hail there, men of Freedom Guild. We are friends. Put down your weapons. Shout. Who calls themselves friend, yet marches from the north before an army? Questions one of the riders. I will speak with your leader, Shadow of the Long Knife, you reply. Tell him an old friend has returned to aid him. Tell him it is I, Grey Star of the Shianti. At these words the horsemen lower their bows, and look at you in amazement as you ride towards them. You now wear your grey shanty robe once more. Their expressions become joyous. You have come, you have returned, they cry. Shadow said it would be so, but none believed. With glad hearts, the horsemen lead you and the Masbate to the Freedom Guild's camp, which lies a few miles south of the hills. You come upon a sprawling mass of tents and fluttering banners. The camp is alive with activity. As you and the Masbate pick your way among the tents and the campfires, you attract a great deal of attention. Some soldiers offer a rousing cheer at the sight of the size of the Masbate host, useful reinforcement in the time of desperate need. You and Samu leave the Masbate to pitch their own camp in an unploughed field nearby and go to Shadow's tent together. The tent flap is pulled aside, and Shadow of the Long Knife steps out. You recognize his lean, haggard face and dangerous blue eyes. His eyes soften, and a smile breaks across his face when he sees you. Grey Star, I knew you will come back, he says. Hail, Samu, and welcome! You both exchange greetings with the brave leader of the Freedom Guild. Inside his tent, you tell him of the success of your quest for the Moonstone and the warning words of the Shianti when they spoke to you in the chamber of the Moonstone. And so, you say to close your story, it is their wish that we fall back into the forest of Fernmost to escape the larger Shadikin army that is sure to come against us once they have crossed the Dosar and Nendui's rivers. Shadow's brow furrows. But the forest is a place of evil, he says. Perhaps foul creatures of Shasarak lurk there. Creatures that will be his slaves if he desired it. Surely it would be better to march on soon and take it by siege. Once we occupied it, we will have a stranglehold on the bulk of Shadikin trade. It is the only port foreigners will visit in the Shadikin Empire, and its city walls will offer a better defense. The Shadikin host will reach you before the port of Soon could be reduced, tell him patiently, and to outnumber your army 3-1. You will be cut off from your base at Carnaly, and the Shadikin will be able to send reinforcements by sea. You will lose Carnaly for sure, and the whole seat of the rebellion will be destroyed, and your army too. Shadow looks doubtful. My army numbers 10,000 men. All are well trained. Your long absence has not seen us idle. We have engaged Shasarak slaves wherever we have found them, and my soldiers are well tested in combat. The argument lasts well into the night, but Shadow's faith in you, the Moonstone that you bear, and the wisdom of the Shianti of whom you have spoken, eventually persuade him. Preparations are made to move the army out the following morning. Dawn is breaking when the alarm is raised, and you are alerted to an attack on the camp. Swiftly you rise, taking up your staff and rushing outside. There's great clamor everywhere. Men are rushing in all directions. Still donning their armor, you rush towards Shadow's tent. He's not there, but an attendant tells you that a group of Shadikin has attempted an attack. Shadow is already at the scene of the battle with a unit of soldiers, and picked to fight a rearguard action, with the remainder of the army retreats, while the remainder of the army retreats to the forest of Fernmost. This unit was chosen by Shadow himself last night, in readiness for just such an eventuality. You're sure that the Shadikin attack cannot be from the large army you trapped on the other side of the river Dosar. It can only be the garrison from Endui. If you wish to go to the scene of the battle where Shadow fights a rearguard action, or lead the bulk of the army into the forest of Fernmost. Good question. We're not really fit for fighting. They don't give us back any endurance points by sleeping. No healer, nothing. Should lead the army into Fernmost. Stop delaying everything further. Ride among the army camp, calling to all. Follow, follow, we go to the Fernmost. I will lead you there. There is nothing to fear. Many of the guildsmen nearby shake their heads. The legions of the forest are steep in legend and dark mystery, and the soldiers are filled with a superstitious fear of it. You look around in desperation, willing someone to follow you. Will no one follow? You implore with searching eyes. There is a long brooding silence, broken only by the occasional ring of armor as the guildsmen shuffle uneasily. Will none listen to the wisdom of the Shianti? You shout into the silence. There is the sound of movement to your left. With relief, you see King Samu striding towards you, leading a long line of his own warriors. We of the Masbate will heed the words of the Shianti, he booms. We at least do not fear to tread beneath the trees of Fernmost, not while the wizard of the Shianti leads us. You hope that Samu's words will shame the guildsmen into entering the forest. You are well aware of the legends that scare them. The forest of Fernmost was once part of the ancient nation of Taklakot. Beyond the western edge of Fernmost lie the mountains of Morn, which overlook the infamous Deadlands. There stands the forbidden city of Ganima and the blasted wasteland of Desolation Valley, which was the heart of the kingdom. Centuries ago, Shasarak came to the people of Taklakot as a wise Shianti, though he had turned from the path of goodness long before, refusing the exile that the goddess Ishir had demanded of his people. Because of the forbidden secrets that he unlocked for the race of Taklakot, a great calamity befell them. Great fires rushed through the kingdom and destroyed an entire civilization in a day. Only Shasarak survived, though he was horribly crippled and burnt. Many say that the dead spirits of Taklakot roam the forest of Fernmost to this day, seeking vengeance and taking it upon any who enter the forest. Forest of Fernmost here might be about here, I guess. Samu's words and examples seem to work. Gradually, the guildsmen move forward towards the forest. At last all are following the broad trail west, deep into the gloom of the forest. You lead the army into the deepening shadow. The forest shelters an eerie feeling of malice. A grey mist lingers upon the ground, and the branches and leaves above form a somber, green canopy that blots out the sky. There is a strange, musty smell in the air. The army are ordered into various positions along the forest edge to watch for the advance of the Shadekin host you left at the river Dozar. They are completely hidden by the tangled woods and thick undergrowth. Sado tells you he is grateful that you did not ask the army to journey any further. How come Sado is here? Okay. Sado tells you he is grateful that you did not ask the army to journey any further into Fernmost, for as you drag closer to its heart, a strange watchful presence can be felt. With a delighted cry, you notice clumps of lomspur, a healing herb growing in abundance. You chew on the herb and its goodness restores 4 endurance points. My god. They gave us healing. You may store another clump of lomspur in your backpack. It will restore 4 endurance points when chewed. Which means, right now, back at 7. Still under the 12 endurance points of the barrier earlier, but anyway. Magical power of alchemy or Turgy. Alchemy, let's go. We can take more lomspur. Your alchemist eye tells you that many unusual plants grow in the forest, some of which are of great use. Actually, third G is better alchemy. She'll take third G, not alchemy. Your trained eye quickly perceives that many unusual plants grow in the forest, some of which are of immense use to your liturgical powers. The army is well equipped, and you are able to borrow many vials from a healer. Wise Sado and his men watch for the approach of the Shadikan army. Pass the day searching for various herbs and preparing potions. It is evening by the time you have finished. You have the choice of making and keeping any of the following items for future use. Remember that your herb pouch can hold up to 8 items, and any other potions may be stored in your backpack. 2 potions of Lomspur. That restores up to 6 endurance points when swallowed before or after a combat. I'm going to just drink all the Lomspur in the world. We're technically before a combat. I guess they kind of want us to drink one before and one after. Question. Okay, let's wait and see. Let's throw out the water bottle. The torch, the tinder box. Now we have potion of Lomspur +6 twice. Potion of Alether +2. 5, 6, 7. Okay, we can keep the water bottle. 3, 4, 8. Okay. Oh, so much potion afterwards. Can take 2 Tarama seeds. Okay. So no willpower loss. It's kind of useful against the final battle. You can say use all willpower points and no less power points. The other things, Calasina potion that we never used. Potion of Mustau, which makes a choking gas. Potion of Temeriz, which gives us the ability to teleport. And a potion of Fezzeran acid, metal eating acid. Seem to don't need any kind of meal. So potion of Mustau, potion of Temeris, and well, goodbye water bottle. Potion of Fezzeran acid. If you have some Phenomel pods, we never found that thing. You return to the army laden with useful aids for your struggle. They seem to be more relaxed about the forest of Fernmost, although you still sense a strange presence somewhere in the center of the forest. Alright, I'll be taking a short break here and we'll be back about 2 minutes for the end of War of the Wizards. Alright, I'm back. The entire day passes without any sign of the Shadakeen. The army are well ensconced in defensive positions around the edges of the forest. Your sleep that night proves extremely restful, restoring 4 endurance and 3 willpower points. Finally. Following day, there is still no sign of the Shadakeen army. A tense, uneasy silence descends on the men. They are anxious to fight. That night you are awakened by the crooning call of voices that beckon you. Unable to resist, you rise and follow the sound deep into the forest. As you walk among the impenetrable shadows, you hear, mingled with the calls, the mournful creak of trees, whose branches have been stirred by a newly risen wind. You become aware of a sickly yellow glow deeper in the wood. You walk towards it, treading a path that leads up a steep hill of craggy, moss-covered stone. At the top of the hill there are 7 hulking shapes, tall as trees, wraithed in yellow light. The light reminds you of the yellow light of the chasm stones, instruments of truth and torture, power and possession, belonging to the Shasarak witches. A wave of panic grows inside you. The crooning is emanating from the tall forms within the hollows of light. Only now the words of the song are distinct. We are the Chasm, masters of truth, wielders of power, steadfast in sooth. Lost are our stone hearts to the evil of the night, clutched by the Dark One, stealer of light. We wait for the Grey One, foe of the dark, heralding battle to regain our hearts. If you wish to charge up the hill and attack the tall shapes there, or wish to go to the up the hill and investigate the tall shapes. Well, they wait for us. Seem peaceful. Why are we going to attack them? Really don't understand. Okay. Well, this gate first. With quaking heart, you ascend the hill. Stand at the top in a circle of stone forms with the indistinct features of men. Their voices murmur in a haunting, faraway whisper. Comes the Grey One, come. Does he bear the key, the Master Stone, our salvation? Where are you? You shout into the darkness. Whispering subsides and one voice speaks to you. We are the Chasm, the stone peoples old as the earth. We have waited. For what? For the bearer of the Master Stone, to set us free from this ill that we might claim back what was once ours. We seek our hearts, that the Dark One stole from us long ago. A glimmer of realization dawns in your mind. Who? You ask her gently. Who stole your hearts? He who calls himself Shasarak, thundered and shameful brother of the Shianti. The chasm stones of the Shasarak witches must be the hearts of these poor forlorn creatures. Trapped and heartless upon this hill, they have waited for you to free them. But how? You ask the chasm. You must have the key, or we will not have awakened from our sleep of centuries and felt your presence here in the forest. You are the bearer of the Master Stone. Take it out and free us as the Shianti promised. They must mean the Moonstone. Long ago the Shianti must have promised to free the chasm out of shame for the actions of their renegade Shianti brother. Now you have come to fulfill that promise for them. The chasm mentioned regaining their hearts. If they are successful, they rob Shasarak's most powerful servants of their power. The separate threads of the story fall into place as the ancient plans of the Shianti finally come to fruition. You draw out the Moonstone. Though you have not exerted any power upon it, it is shining with a blinding white light of its own. The seven chasm roar with pleasure as the rays of the Moonstone touch their rocky bodies, and then they begin to move, stretching their craggy limbs after centuries of sleep. One of the chasm speaks to you. We thank you, it says, but you must go now, back to your people. Their enemy approaches, bringing with them an enemy of ours. We will come soon, when we are fully ready and restored to life. Hurry, battle begins. In the distance you can hear the sound of many voices shouting. The Shasarak must have attacked by night. You whirl around and dash down the hill, heading towards the sound of battle. With all the speed you can muster, you rush towards the fray. When you arrive, all is in darkness and confusion. You hear swords clashing in the shadows at the edge of the forest, but you cannot see who is fighting whom. You can expend one willpower point to cast a light, or head towards the sound of the fighting, or continue through the forest and trying to find shadow. Should save willpower for petty tasks like this. Those 16 willpower points will be needed for the final fight. The moon bursts through space in the clouds, and you see Shadow. Need of light. A bloody sword in one hand, standing upon the brow of a low hill. He and a small number of his personal guard are beset on all sides by Shuriken warriors. You sprint over to him. Looking to the east, you see a sight that makes you gasp. Beyond the edge of the forest is the Shuriken army. It is larger than you ever imagined. Row upon row of bristling spears and swords wing beneath the night sky. Among the ranks you sight the glow of a chasm stone. A Shuriken witch must accompany the army. You enter the battle that rages at Shadow's feet in an effort to free him so that he can command the rest of the army. More and more men appear out of the darkness summoned by his rallying call. A Shuriken spearman springs out of the shadows and rounds toward you. You can use 2 willpower points and fire the spearman, stand and fight, or flee. I guess we can stand and fight. Don't want to use... last time the 2 willpower points were less costly than the fight itself. 2 willpower points, okay. At the cost of 2 willpower points, you unleash a bolt of energy at the spearman. He falls wide-eyed to the ground in a plume of smoke. Suddenly Samu's at your side. Your aim is true. He comments before lifting his war horn and trumpeting a loud call to arms. With valiant cries, the entire force of the Masbate tribesmen charges from the forest, running to the aid of Shadow, who is beleaguered upon the hill. The Masbate have managed to stay ordered and controlled under Samu's command, despite the surprise of the Shuriken night attack, and their charge is ferocious and deadly. The Shuriken are swept back and away from the hill. Soon they have fallen into a full retreat, and the men of the Freedom Guild give a loud cheer. While Shadow organizes his men into battle formations and sends couriers dashing through the forest with messages for the rest of the army, you stare out at the Shuriken host, trying to guess their next move. A cloud drifts across the moon's face, blotting out its silver light and plunging you into darkness once more. Shadow curses. Grey Star, is there nothing you can do to bring us light? He asks. I cannot command the sun to rise before dawn, you reply bitterly. If only there were some way of fulfilling Shadow's request. You are also anxious to see the movements of the Shuriken. If you possess the magical power of the elementalism, wish to use it expending 2 willpower points, or verse in the higher magic of physiurgy and expend 1 willpower point. Okay, let's go with the ghostly option. At the cost of 1 willpower point. You summon a wind of your own design. It blows through the treetops of the forest of Fernmost and sends the dense cloud above swirling across the sky. The cloud disperses to reveal the moon once more. My thanks, Shadow says with a grin. You turn your attention to the Shuriken army once more. The Shuriken are wheeling large engines of war to the front of their lines. They are powerful catapults. Pinpoints of flame appear. Shadow has guessed their intentions and orders his bowmen to fire. The archers of the Freedom Guild send volley after volley singing through the air towards the Shuriken, and many of the distant spots of light go out. Suddenly, many balls of flame arc through the air above the heads of the men of the Freedom Guild to fall into the trees behind. Ha! Shadow shouts. The fools are way off target. I think not, replies Samu. You understand his meaning as you watch the dry bush of the forest behind begin to burn. They mean to flush us out, you cry with alarm. All around you small fires are catching the trees, and in a short time smoke billows in choking clouds throughout the Freedom Guild rank. Orange tongues of flame are licking on every side. A feeling of panic surges through the men. Shadow looks aghast. The army will be forced out of the forest and into the jaws of the Shadowkin to be slaughtered, for the Freedom Guild lacks sufficient numbers to face the Shadowkin in an all-out assault. Just as you think you are facing certain doom, a vast shape immersed in a pallid yellow glow strides out from amongst the burning trees. It is the Kazim. Many of Shadow's men shout out in alarm and horror, thinking that they are being attacked from the rear, but you know this is not the case. Do not worry, you assure Shadow. This is a Kazim. Fights with us. The stony creature, measuring 12 feet high at least, moves through the parting ranks of guildsmen and stops at the edge of the forest. It is alone. The other Kazim must already be on their way to the other Shadowkin witches in the pursuit of their hearts. The Kazim at the edge of the forest turns its head this way and that, searching. When it has located that which it seeks, it moves forward at great speed. Two options. We can tell Shadow to command his army to follow the Kazim, or simply remain in the forest. Good question. Could simply ask the Kazim, it will be way easier actually. I guess we can follow that tall guy. You speak your mind to Shadow, and for once he does not argue. You mount, and you and Samu ride either side of the grim-faced leader of the Freedom Guild. Shadow gives the command, and the entire army surges forward in pursuit of the ghostly figure of the Kazim, as it heads purposefully into the night. The battle that follows is long and terrible. The Freedom Guild almost fail, but with Shadow's iron leadership and your brave resolve to endure, although the number of casualties is high. The Kazim reclaims its heart of stone, slaying Mother Cholun, the Shadowkin witch who bore it. As she dies, much of the fighting fury and ferocity that filled the Shadowkin fades. The army of the Freedom Guild senses the Shadowkin's loss of morale and press home their advantage. Soon they have beaten the much larger force into a full-scale retreat. The entire Shadowkin army heads north. Shadow leads his army in pursuit, turning the retreat into a rout. It is vital that the Shadowkin army does not reach Shadowkey, for there they will find new leadership under Shasarak's hand. There is still a large army, and with Shasarak to lead them, they could turn the tables once again. The army of the Freedom Guild pursues the fleeing Shadowkin army across much of the Shadowkin Empire. Damn. Is it the epilogue already? So here to Blum Blum Blum, I guess. The Shadowkin find no place to hide, for all the cities of the Empire are in open revolt. Each Kazim has reclaimed its heart and slain the Shadowkin witch that ruled each city. During the 4 days of the pursuit, you are not required to exert any energy or use any of your magical power, and you regain 8 endurance points and 9 willpower points. Constantly harrying the ever-dwindling Shadowkin force, the army of the Freedom Guild crosses the Great Calamar River and approaches the mountains of Lara. Pretty much what I said. The mountains of Lara contains the infamous Morn Pass. It was through this pass that the Shadowkin first invaded the provinces of the south. It is the last barrier between you and the fortress city of Shadowkey. That thing here, I guess. With growing dread, you realize that the time of your final battle with Shasarak is fast approaching. With his armies scattered or destroyed, it only remains for you to challenge him yourself and ensure that the land remains free. Your trepidation is coupled with suspicion. Shasarak has many powers at his disposal. Why then has he not used them to challenge Shadow's tiny army, much reduced in numbers? Perhaps there is some other reason why he does not bring his full might to bear. If you are versed in the higher magic of thaumaturgy, possesses a Demeris potion, or wish to use the dimension door of the Moonstone to teleport into the city of Shadeki and challenge Shasarak now. But the Shianti told us to wait. So, we need to continue with the army of the Freedom Guild through the Morn Pass. Come to the Morn Pass and cautiously enter the long barren trails that run between the mountains. Your senses scream a warning at you. Every nerve is taut. Looking down, you see that the Moonstone has turned black, and you sense a terrible evil, sorcerous in nature. The hairs on the back of your neck rise and your blood runs like ice in your veins. Ignorant of the torment you suffer, Shadow looks over to you. A broad smile is splitting his face. His eyes shine with the joy of his victory over the Shadekin. If only he knew what it is you must yet face. You hope his confidence in you is not misplaced. A faint tremor shakes the ground. Horses rear and whinny their distress as the land cracks and splits. All eyes look in horror at the shapes now heaving out of the ground. Twisting blindly with skeletal claws outstretched, humans, horses, all manner of beasts crawls out into the light from their graves beneath the pass. Shasarak, the master necromancer, has summoned the legions of the dead that lie beneath his old battlefield. Hundreds of gnarled shapes rise up, blocking each end of the pass. The army is trapped and you with it. The skeleton shape stands before you, its frozen smile leering savagely. It has a rusty sword in his hand and leads forward to strike. Skeleton warrior, oh, it's a combator. Really, right that boom. Skeleton warrior, combat skill 20, so it's a -10. Combat ratio. Endurance 20 fight, and it's a one-on-one, nobody's going to help us. Okay. So dead. -10 combat ratio. That means that we need to roll at least 8 for it to be a good roll. You have less endurance points, so a 9 would be way better. I think we should invest a 5 willpower point in this fight to not lose too many endurance points. Oh, alright, 9. So, skeletons are dead. But we lost 3 endurance points. But we could take the lump spur before to 25, or down to 22, and take the autumnal lump spur after the fight to be back to 28, and we have no more potions. Aletair potion will be for the final fight. We're not like -30 or anything in combat ratio. So, that one. You smash the fabric that binds the skeleton's body, but you are fighting the creature with magic. Your fellow soldiers do not have the same advantage, and the air is filled with their terrified cries. Many are being slain, and as they die, Shasarak's spell takes them, and they rise to fight once more as soldiers of the undead. Those that survive find themselves fighting their friends and comrades. The powers you possess protect only you from attack. You can save the Freedom Guild only by destroying Shasarak. The time has come. You must go to him. If you're versed in the higher magic of thaumaturgy, you may deduct 2 willpower points from your total to cast a teleportation spell. If you have a temerarious potion, you may use it to teleport without using any willpower points. If If you're using the power of the dimension door locked in the Moonstone, you may deduct 4 willpower points. And if you are unable to teleport by any of these means, you have failed in your quest and your adventure is over. So we have all of those options. She'll take the Timorous Potion for a free teleport. There we go. Suddenly you're in a wide round hall full of shadows. At one end of the hall is a flaming wall, and kneeling before the wall is the hunched figure of Shasarak, Witch King of Shadaki. His back is turned to you, but he spins round the instant you arrive. He is a hideous sight. His flesh is black as if burned by recent fires, and his fingers are like claws. Half his face is missing, and in its place there is a metal plate, which is the only thing that gives shape to a living mass of shrunken flesh and tissue. One eye is shriveled, sightless, and shrunken. The other burns into you with hatred so intense that it almost forces you back a step. The room fills with the sound of savage laughter, but it is not Shasarak who laughs. A familiar, slithering, deathly voice emanates from the wall of fire, and within the fire you see 2 slanted eyes, pools of absolute darkness. It is the demon lord Agarash. See, Shasarak, he has come, as I told you he would. He has come to slay you. Won't you accept my bargain? Never. Shasarak hisses, his voice like the rush of broken stones scattering on the floor. He does not have the power to master me, as you have not, demon. Shasarak glares at you malevolently and raises a damaged hand. He is about to strike. If you have 1 willpower point and wish to raise the Moonstone against Shasarak, or we can defend ourselves with the Moonstone. Maybe defending ourselves will be to preserve our willpower points for the rest of the fight, since it's kind of free right now. Your whole body glows with the Moonstone's protection. Afraid to fight? Shasarak mocks. He does not attack for the moment. Instead, he reaches into the air and produces his own wizard staff. It is long and black. He weighs it casually in his hand. Shall we duel now, Grey Star? Or will you stand forever within the damnable light, afraid to fight? The voice of Agarash booms from the wall of fire at the end of the wall. Who is it that is really afraid to fight, Shasarak? Tell me that. Be silent, demon, Shasarak commands. I'll have this young viper yet. If you wish to duel with Shasarak, or if you wish to throw some of the Moonstone's power at Shasarak, and have 1 willpower point with which to do so. I think we should wait as much as we can to duel that guy. Someone, either Demon Lord or Shasarak, will kind of go insane and crazy. You hurl a ball of white, glowing power at Shasarak. He flinches and falters. The voice of Agarash cackles. Beware the bauble the Shianti holds. It cries between gulps of perverse laughter. It bites! Fight on, little wizards, fight on! such sport you provide, who could ask for more? Shasarak screeches as the light of the blazing moonstone shines on him. His body writhes and he clutches himself in pain as he topples to the floor. He is still. The light of the moonstone fades and you stoop over the body. As you do so, Shasarak suddenly twists around and sends a bolt of black fire shooting towards you from one crooked fingertip. We can try to knock aside the blast with the moonstone or strike Shasarak with our staff. Certainly need the moonstone. The blast is totally absorbed by the moonstone, but its light is extinguished. Shasarak screams at you like a caged animal. Climbs to his feet, his staff held high, ready to attack. You bring up your own staff to fend off the blow you know must come. No more moonstone. Must fight Shasarak without the protection of the moonstone. He has been weakened, but by how much you cannot tell. With desperation, you charge at him. His one hideous eye burns with poisonous malice. His ruined face is twisted with hate. Clashes against staff, and the hall is filled with flame as you fight. Agarash's unholy joy ripples through the room in peals of mocking laughter. The black, fathomless eyes following every move. You are locked in a duel with your arch enemy. Witch King Shasarak, combat skill 30. So the editor potion is useless. You have a minus 20 combat ratio. He has only 25 endurance points. Too bad. So we need to roll 8 or more for it to be a good roll. 8 is an even roll on both sides, but since we have more endurance points and it might be the last fight of the book, 8 would be a kind of good roll anyway. With 16 willpower, I think there's a kind of trap at the end where the demon lord will try to take over us if we have not enough willpower. We need to top 25. Which means 5 willpower on a 9 or better. 7 willpower on a 8 or better. And 9 on a 7 or better. And if we go the route of... We have a lot of endurance points. Can conservative. Like round of fighting. Even for round of fighting. Yeah, we can be rather conservative on the first round. I think we can try 5 just to see if we can kill it one shot. Not enough, but almost. So that's 4 against 20. It's only 5 endurance points left. I think we could do no endurance points and simply go with the broadsword. I mean, no willpower. Our combat ratio is terrible anyway. One, that's really bad, we're dead. Instead dead. Okay, let's pretend it didn't happen. Actually, we shall restart the fight to be fair. And we had 28 and 16 willpower. I think the strategy of 5 at the beginning of the fight was... there another option actually? There's not another option. Yeah, 2 is quite bad roll. Dead anyway, again. Damn. So crazy. Dead again. Damn, he had only 5 HP left. Okay, 4. So no damage, but we receive 8. The 5 willpower is down the drain. Need to use another 5 there. And 5 damage. He had 15. Oh, it's lost. Totally. 22 against 6. Oh, 0. That's a good one. 22 against 12. 4. We're dead again. I guess we just have to go over this fight. That's a shame since the Witch King was in the ropes with 5 HP left and we just got an insta-death roll because of our crappy combat skill that we had since the beginning. There's the sound here. Kind of weird. I guess that the Foundry is tired as well of tying to Shasarak. Let's go with win the combat and see how it ends. You bring down the staff to deliver a death blow, but as you do, Agarash shouts out, "No, this shall not be!" And there you go, Agarash is trying to cheat the thing. I'll reload the Foundry gaze. Do the trick. Oh, there we go, it's back. I don't know if you lost the music there, but I did on my end. You feel a wave of power emanate from the wall of fire and your staff grows warm in your hands. Both your staff and Shasarak's explode into flame, fall in ashes on the floor. Shasarak begins to crawl on his hands and knees towards the fiery wall, muttering in choked breath, "You shall not have me! You shall not have me!" He stands and reaches out his hands. Agarash, our bargain! He screams. Agarash laughs once more. A plume of flame snakes out from the wall and wreathes itself around Shasarak. If you wish to allow Shasarak to step through the flaming wall, or if you possess 3 willpower and wish to fill the Moonstone with your power and hurl its power against the wall, let's go Moonstone. You look upon Shasarak's broken features for the last time. The wall of fire is a portal to Agarash's realm. His bargain is to take Agarash's place, to be named ever after as Shasarak the Damned, and to set the demon free. The Witch King prefers eternal torment to the peace of death at your hands. Shasarak disappears through the wall, and you hurl the shining luminescence of the Moonstone at the portal. A huge shoulder and a splayed clawed foot emerge as you assault the wall. No, you cannot. The Demon Lord splatters in fury. You battle with the power of the demon as it struggles to escape, and throw the last of your willpower and endurance at the flames. You must close the portal. Flames rage around the hall, struggling against the purity of the Moonstone's light. A great yawning blackness threatens to engulf you as a hurricane of might whirls from the Moonstone and assaults the portal. You drop to your knees. You look up once more into the raging war of incandescence before slipping into unconscious oblivion. You wake to see the face of Tanith looking into yours. You sit up with a jolt. You are lying in a bed in a tall tower. Portal, Agarash, is he? You stammer. Tanith smiles. All vanquished, she replies. The demon lord Agarash and his portal of fire have gone, and Shasarak with them. We have triumphed, Grey Star. We are saved. With a wild laugh, you leap from the bed and hug Tanith with joy. You have saved your people. Come, she says, leading you to a doorway. It opens onto a balcony that overlooks a large square in the center of the city of Sharaki. There you look upon a huge crowd. They let out a thunderous cheer as they see you. Later you retire to the chamber. Standing there are Sado of the Long Knife and Samu the Masbate King. You clasp their outstretched hands, eyes brimming with tears of happiness. You grin furiously, glad to see that they are alive. A wave of exultant relief runs through you as you receive their grateful thanks and congratulations. They tell you that the Shadakin have fled back to the Sadi Desert. All the cities of the land are free capitals as before. The long task of rebuilding has already begun, and all sing your praise to the furthest corners of what was once the Shadakin Empire. They have proclaimed you their ruler. The church go daddy. The wizard regent of the free peoples. For their faith and trust in your wisdom and courage is unshakable. Hail Wizard Grey Star, Shianti hero and savior. Range ending. But there's an epilogue after the ending, named The Passing of the Shianti. And so it was that the shame of the Shianti was absolved, with the defeat of the Witch King, Shasarak, the renegade Shianti master. The Shadakin Empire he had built fell. The Shadakin people fled back to their former home in the Sadi Desert, and Grey Star, the champion of the Shianti cause, was proclaimed Wizard Regent of the free peoples of the old empire, to oversee a time of rebirth and liberty. The only Shadakin who did not return to the Sadi Desert was the Lady Tanith. She and Grey Star were soon married, as many foretold they will be, formed the founding line of a magiocracy destined to rule the new confederation of free states, formed from the ashes of the old empire. For the Shianti themselves a higher destiny dawned. The goddess came to them on the Isle of Lorne and took them up to the plane of light. Their reward was to dwell as immortals by her side and in her service in peace and serenity. The wizard Grey Star saw them once before they departed, and many fond and sad farewells were exchanged. To Grey Star was bequeathed the nature of true Shianti wisdom, the last of their ancient magical secrets, which only a lifetime study will unlock from the hundreds of dusty volumes, scrolls, and magical artifacts. The Moonstone was given into the care of the Shianti and taken with them into the plane of light, for still its power was too great to remain on Magnamond. Grey Star then returned to his people. Shadow of the Long Knife was made general of the army. King Samu had his lands in the Listen Plain restored to him, and Urig the Wise of the Kundi peoples was summoned to act as advisor to the Wizard Regent and Lady Tanith the Witch Queen. Despite his newfound responsibilities and duties, Grey Star looked forward to a time of hope and happiness. In this far corner of Magnamon, at least for now, peace reigned. And so ends the chronicle of the first quest of the wizard Grey Star. Apparently there's an epilogue to the epilogue. In Lone Wolf newsletter, Lone Wolf Club newsletter number 7. Is it available? Lone Wolf Club newsletter. Alright. Are they available? All 37 newsletter. They're all in one file. A big PDF. So while it loads, let's talk about World of Lone Wolf. The series of 4 books with Grey Star the Wizard. I mean, compared to the original Lone Wolf series, all the different books, the Kai series, Magna Kai series, Grandmaster, etc. I really think it's subpar to the Lone Wolf series, sadly. It's really not at the same quality of writing. It's not that it's badly written, but let's say the game book part or the game book thingy behind the World of Lone Wolf isn't up par with the Lone Wolf original series. Some things are quite bit stretched out. Finally, for sure, the fight we had with an Instadet is kind of a downer, but all along the 4 books we had a really crappy combat skill with really horrible combat ratio, meaning that every fight was kind of a lost cause from the get-go, and we had to throw willpower all around in the fight. I guess it was balanced like that, but it's not as fun, as enjoyable as combat in the Lone Wolf books. Even if we had a combat skill of 19, which was the most that we could have, with the fight against Shasarak, will have been a -11 combat ratio anyway, and we can go lower than -11. So it means, well, with the potion evaluator, we could have a -9 instead of -11, but -9 is kind of crappy anyway in a fight. So it's a non-even fight against Shasarak. He had low endurance points though, so that gave us kind of a chance to fight back there. But really the book all along wants us to expend willpower in fights. I like the gambling aspect and mathematics aspect of the willpower mechanics, but I'm not sure it really adds more than it removes from the original books. While it was interesting to get some lore on the Lone Wolf universe, like with the Shianti, the Moonstone, and the Agarash, which are all friends or seen later on in other Lone Wolf books. There were so few references compared to, I guess, time it took to get there and all the diamond it gave or the lack of it. So yeah, not my favorite books. It started kind of okay-ish in the first book until we reached the jungle of Azanam. I think it's Azanam. Yeah, the jungle of Azanam. With the kind of ants, insectoids inside the tunnels. It went left field quite quickly and sour. The little expedition with the NPCs in the second book were interesting to have a party with us, which is kind of different and new, since Lone Wolf is most often than not alone, outside of Banadon and other friends sometimes that they join him. So it was kind of refreshing and different. The third book was really bad. Was very short compared to the fourth book that was way too long in comparison one to the other. I think the third book was, like I said, way too quick, and I think it was a great idea on paper, but when executed, it was not as much a great idea. Not fun to explore with the kind of different shards. It was in kind of a dream world and hard to envision or imagine when you read. Maybe it will have been better in a video game or something like that. Well, anyway, I got the newsletter, so we have maybe an epilogue to the epilogue in newsletter number 7. I can find it in big PDF. The first time I'm reading the newsletter, clearly they were not in my time. I was way too young to get newsletter from the Lone Wolf Club. They were most probably available only in the UK, I guess. So, that's the number 4. There are 435 pages of newsletter. It's so crazy. Oh, it's number 6 now. I'm near number 7. The order form. New Year special. Is it number 7? Or since it's a special, it doesn't count? Later on, if I get newsletter 8, damn. So this special is newsletter 7. $1987 New Year special. Unless I skipped over letter 7 by accident. If I go back up, I find letters. Oh, it's here. Newsletter 7. Right. So let's read that and get the epilogue of Greystar the Wizard. Lone Wolf Club newsletter number 7. Castle Death, That's the book I'm missing right now as a definitive edition, actually. Castle Dead wins the 1986 Best Solo Game Book of the Year award. Surprising. The Lone Wolf Magna Chi series were quite the best of its time in my. I'd like to say a big thank you to all the Lone Wolf Club members who came to the Beaver Book stand at the recent Games Day 86 convention. It was like 37 years ago. And to everyone who voted for Castle Death in the annual White Dwarf Magazine Games Awards. This is the second year running that Lone Wolf has won this coveted prize. And you can be sure that with your continued support, we shall be working hard to make it the hat-trick in 1987. The monastery mailed back a selection of letters from Lone Wolf fans. I'm sure I want the fan letters. News from the monastery. The Jungle of Horrors. Story so far from book 8. I won't read that to not spoil book 7, 6, and 8 as well. The Kai Connection. The regular feature of the Lone Wolf Club newsletter for those of you who would like to make new friends by post. So some kid from England in 18 and 17 that want to make friends. The companion postscript. The Vaderish Alluvian nations. They're related to some things in the later books, so I skipped that. The Giak word list. It's a kind of dictionary. The Passing of the Shianti Wizard is an epilogue to the first Grey Star series. And the only one, I guess he wanted to make another one afterwards. By Ian Page. And so it was that the shame of the Shianti was absolved with the defeat of the Witch King. Shasarak, the renegade Shianti master, the Shadekin empire he had built fell. The Shadekin people fled back to their former home in the Sadi Desert. And Grey Star, the champion of the Shianti coast, was proclaimed Wizard Regent. Kind of already read that. Ah, so the epilogue was already included in the book. Damn. Alright. Well, there's not an epilogue after the epilogue then. Same one. Well, thanks to Project Aeon to include the epilogue at the end of the War of the Wizards book. Yeah, I should have read better the little note. It says that this epilogue was included in the Lone Wolf Club newsletter number 7. So that's it, the story of Grey Star the Wizard. Next week will be a different series by Joe Dever as well. But only Joe Dever, not in the universe of Lone Wolf, sadly. We're still waiting for Book 7, Castle Death, Definitive Edition, like I said many times. I'm quite eager to try out the Freeway Warriors series, a 4-book series that should run us up to almost mid-January, and hopefully we'll be able to start again or continue the series into the of Lone Wolf into the Magna Chi series of 7 books. But next week, by Joe Dever, Highway Holocaust, first book of the Freeway Warrior series. So let's see each other. Same time, same channel, next week.